fucking wild. I mean, granted, he did just get convicted 34 times. So he's a 34x felon. So I don't think any of us should ever be shocked by anything that he ever does. Good luck with that. Alright. Let's move along to current events on weather, climate, environment, and stuff like that. We talked about this a little bit recently, and let's talk about it again, as it has now risen to another level. This is from a day ago, CBS Evening News. The Corral wildfire we talked about in California is now burning to the point that it has forced evacuations in, can't remember what area they said, but some part of Northern California.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on this Sunday. Tonight, fire crews in California are working hard to gain ground on a wind-driven wildfire that scorched thousands of acres. The flames erupted Saturday, spreading fast in the grassy hills of San Joaquin County. Evacuation orders were issued for thousands of people who live in that area.
Oh my God.
CBS's Elise Preston is tracking it all for us tonight and leads us off. Elise?
Jerika, this is the first large wildfire in California this season, and firefighters are struggling to get the fast-moving flames under control. The fire...
I just want to remind everybody, this is the absolute very beginning of wildfire season for California. Like they just said, there's already been 3 wildfires in California this season.
Exploded overnight just south of Sacramento to more than 14,000 acres.
Pretty big fire.
Several nearby neighborhoods ordered to evacuate, and 2 major highways were temporarily shut down due to poor visibility.
They seem excited. You know, sometimes the tone of these news organizations doesn't really fit the stuff they're covering.
From all the smoke.
Definitely this is scary because it's the first time that I've been so much close to the wildfires.
More than 400 crews from across the state are battling the fire, but the extreme heat, 40-mile-per-hour winds, and dry grass are fueling the flames.
The big concern is the grass crop. It's, 4 feet tall, and it's pretty thick and matted.
Residents and their animals are rushing to safety.
One structure on the ground. I'm not sure whether it's a garage or a house.
At least 1 structure has been destroyed. The flames have also spread to within 15 miles of a site operated by the Lawrence Livermore National.
Oh my God.
Have also spread to within 15 miles of a site.
This stretches for so long. Yesterday, I thought I was wrong about that number that I said. I can't even remember what number I said.
The flames have also spread to within 15 miles of a site operated by the Lawrence.
Oh my God. Fires in California is like rain in Washington. I'm not saying that the California doesn't have fires. What I'm saying is that this is probably an unusual number. I'm pretty sure an unusual number of fires in the area, at least seasonally so far, which is concerning. The same thing has been going on in Canada, right? It's that their fires started earlier than expected, causing evacuations, and although there are some differences, obviously, but I think we can probably say they're sort of parallel situations. All right, hold on. I'm going to move on to this next video, just from more recently.
A wind-fueled fire scorching.
Hold on. No.
Now to the latest in the.
This is from 8 hours ago. Discussing this further. Also CBS, I think. Yeah. It is June now, but just the beginning of June. And there was already 2 in, I think there's 1 in May and 1 in April already. They might have both been last month. I'm trying to think. I think we covered both of them. It's incredible to see houses just completely just reduced to a pile of ashes, like there was never anything there. And I can't remember which report it was in, but I had like 5 or 6 videos on this. We just don't have time to watch them all, and they're all kind of covering the same stuff. In one of the videos I was watching, they did say like directly that it was an unusual number of fires for this time of year so far. Let's look at this from 23 hours ago. Moving to the oceans. Some global news, according to them. Unhealthy coral fueled by climate change is threatening the fish and other marine wildlife.
Fire crews in California are battling the state's largest wildfires so far this year.
Actually, I think, we'll watch the rest of this last video, actually, regarding this.
The so-called Corral Fire erupted Saturday just outside the city of Tracy, which is about 60 miles east of San Francisco.
Yeah, that's right. 500,000 acres burned in Texas. We looked at that. That was wild, a megastar. I think it was I think it was maybe the biggest fire in Texas history, I think. I could be wrong.
More than 14,000 acres have burned so far, forcing thousands of people to evacuate. CBS News senior national and environmental correspondent Ben Tracy is in California covering this for us. I see behind you what looks like some remnants there of the fire. Tell me what's behind you and how much this fire is contained.
Yeah, so this house back here, we believe, is the one structure in this fire that was completely destroyed. And that's pretty remarkable when you think about a 14,000-acre fire that was growing and spreading as fast as this one was. The really good news is firefighters have made extraordinary progress. This fire, they tell us, is now 75% contained. And when you get to that kind of number, that means they really do have control of this. And when we look out in the distance, we see, charred hillsides, but you don't see flames, you don't see smoke. So they're feeling pretty good about where they're at, but obviously a big loss for the person who lived here. There also were 2 firefighters that were injured, but we are told that they are going to be okay. So this could have been a lot worse than it is. So I think people are really crossing their fingers that with these heavy winds today, that this thing doesn't somehow pick back up.
Yeah, and also, here we are June 3rd. I'm from Arizona, so I know that it's not necessarily too early for something like this. But does something as big as this already in the season forebode the season? And also, what can you tell us about this heat dome that's expected to hit the West?
Yeah, we've been talking about that.
Yeah, this does seem a little ominous. This is early for a wildfire of this kind in California, but we also have to acknowledge that in the age of climate change, there really is no wildfire season anymore because spring is coming much earlier.
I hate that.
The hot
Never
temperatures are lasting longer, so you do have these wildfires
Saying it makes it true.
at times of the year that, 20 years ago, you might not have experienced those.
Stop
And then you
making it
mentioned
real.
this heat dome that is coming. That is going to impact this area. It's also going to impact a wide area of the Southwest, including major population centers like Las Vegas and Phoenix. Temperatures here expected to be 10 to 15 degrees above normal. And so certainly that.
But yeah, we've been talking about this heat dome that's coming midweek, within the next couple of days, actually. Pretty sure it was for like Wednesday, where temperatures across the West are going to be in the low to high 90s in some places, hitting 100 degrees potentially already. Which, yeah, does not bode well for the rest of the season. So, summer's going to get to 9 months of the year. Yeah, that'll suck. I don't think you're supposed to sleep with contacts in. I think that's ill-advised. I don't know how bad your eyesight is, or your particular situation, but I've heard that's bad. All right, now onto the oceans and to talk about coral. This is CBS, not sorry, which I think we determined was, what was it, 15,000 acres, something like that. Let's just quickly catch ourselves up on that. This is why CBS, according to CBS, this is why California's Corral Fire has officials so worried.
Here at home, dramatic images out of California show a wildfire devouring hillsides about an hour east of San Francisco. The Corral Fire is the state's largest so far this year. Right now, it is about 75% contained, but this week, the fire danger is going to ramp up with blistering triple-digit temperatures. CBS's Ben Tracy is on the scene in Northern California.
Fueled by fierce winds, the Corral Fire exploded this weekend, scorching more than 14,000 acres, jumping major roadways, and bearing down on nearby homes.
It was the scariest night of my life.
Daniel Perez stayed behind to help first responders.
The firefighters actually dipped the hose into my pool. Then all of a sudden, the fire came from that direction.
It burned down his neighbor's home. The older couple living there evacuated safely. Perez's home survived, but his garage and the memories inside of it did not.
It's irreplaceable.
Yeah. Wait, hold on.
This is the comforter that was in my daughter's crib. My grandmother made that, and it's ruined.
I'm sorry.
Yep, it's devastating.
The fire behavior was so aggressive, it just ripped through all this tall.
Do you hear his tone? He's like, yep, yeah, sure. Sure you care, buddy.
Grass.
What worries
really
firefighters is that this is happening so early.
I feel bad. This is a fucking tragedy.
In the so-called wildfire season.
For the most part, we don't.
But somehow, like, his, I don't know what you want to call it. It was like, it was comforting me because, like, I was like, yeah, this is a goddamn travesty. I was like, yeah, this dude's clearly upset, visibly upset. I don't know why that comforts me.
Refer to it as fire season anymore. It's almost like there are no rules anymore.
In a warming climate, scientists say spring is arriving.
I think it's some sort of sympathetic sort of mind thing, or it's like, yeah, like I'm upset. Seeing somebody else upset actually makes me feel better about it.
Earlier and is warmer, melting the snowpack more quickly and drying out vegetation, which becomes fuel for fires.
This seems kind of early for a fire like this. Are you surprised by this?
You're absolutely right. To have a fire that was more than 14,000 acres plus in the beginning of June is a bit eye-opening.
Yeah, so like we've been saying, the number of fires that have been happening in California is not only concerning in its number, but in the size of, especially this last one, or at least this most recent one we've talked about, is not foreshadowing, I'm sure. Let's just quickly look at this. This most recent video I have on this fire. Discussing the dangerous heat wave headed west while fires rage on.
The major heat wave building tonight, several states with triple-digit heat already. In fact, 25 million Americans on alert for dangerous heat as California tonight already battles a wildfire there. The Corral Fire east of San Francisco racing across more than 20 square miles in the last 48 hours alone. Part of Interstate 580 shut down for a time, families forced to evacuate. Tonight, crews battling the flames and the temperatures. Mola Lengi on the fire lines for us.
Tonight, a new threat for the West, scorching heat. 475 firefighters already battling California's first major wildfire of the year. The dry grass quickly going up near the town of Tracy. The Corral Fire incinerating more than 20 square miles east of San Francisco in the last 48 hours.
The winds were fierce, 30 to 40 mile an hour sustained winds and 60 mile an hour gusts. People were saying they couldn't even stand up in those high winds.
2 firefighters sustaining burns when the erratic winds changed direction, expected to be okay.
First time I walked over here, it was very hard to look at. It still is.
Travis Curtis's parents evacuating as flames.
The media boners are way too much. I hear you. People, these big news outlets just get so excited whenever there's a tragedy. Oh, God.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
closed in on his childhood home, now destroyed by the fire.
They left with the clothes on their back. And so...
and came home to nothing.
Came home to nothing.
The start of the fire not far from the explosives testing facility belonging to the famed Lawrence Livermore National Lab. Authorities warning that fire season is now a year-round event.
Usually we see...
For fuck's sake, this is stressing me out. It's only June. It's only June. It's just going to keep getting drier and drier and drier. Technically, like they're saying, it's a year-round thing. But I mean, the regular fire season usually lasts till about September, or, you know?
More intense fire activity in July, August, September. So we just want everybody to be prepared.
Well, David, the National Weather Service issuing an excessive heat warning for millions here in California starting tomorrow, with temperatures expected to hit up to 108 degrees, prompting some real concerns about the heat, not just here in San Joaquin County, but throughout the West, David.
Makes those firefighters
so hot right now.
Jesus Christ. Really, though? Will Ferrell's right. So hot right now. But he's not talking about Hansel. He's talking about the goddamn environment. The environment we all live in. Let's move on to this. You are not hearing a replay of what we just talked about. This is, in fact, something different. Not having a stroke. Nothing is happening. Aside from this, well, in this moment. California firefighters battle another wind-driven wildfire east of San Francisco. So all these high winds are pushing small fires and turning them into massive blazes in a very short period of time. Shit is freaking ominous. I'm not feeling it. Nothing is happening except everything. Exactly. Now, I don't know if they've managed to completely contain this fire yet, but the fact that these are just starting to break out one after the other. What, 2 days after that one happened? Now, the other one, I don't know if you heard, but it's mostly contained. I think they had it 80% contained last time I checked. But a heat wave is coming in, which is not going to help anything. Talking about triple-digit temperatures to add to all of that. It's wild. Okay, just to remind everybody of what sort of happened in Texas, I figured we'd watch this video because it's just somehow I missed this, and this is wild. This is from 4 days ago in Texas, from some of the flood. What am I doing? Ah, yes. So we've been talking about multiple fires that have happened in the California area over the last week or so, maybe a couple weeks, because there's been multiple. But another fire has now broken out in the, what's it called? Oh, what's that valley called? The Napa Valley. As California heats up, 57 acres are now on fire in St. Helena, according to Cron 4 from 5 hours ago. This one's being called the Crystal Fire, apparently. I don't know why. Not sure how crystals at all.
Appreciate you joining us this afternoon for Cron 4 News at 4. I'm Grant Lotus.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry, chat. I hope your ears aren't blown out. That just destroyed me.
And I'm Vicki Libiakis. That breaking news is out of Napa County, where crews are currently battling a 57-acre grass fire.
We have pictures from the scene you see right here. Firefighters told us at KRON 4 News at 3 that this is burning on private property. Mostly tall grass is burning. There are evacuation warnings in effect right now.
It is burning on Crystal Springs Road, as you can see on the map. They're just about 7 miles north of St. Helena. KRON 4's Teresa Stasio is there. She joins us now live on the phone. Teresa, what can you tell us?
Well, I am in between some fire trucks. I'm here on Crystal Springs Road. It is extremely hot. We've got 5 firefighters that have already gotten some heat exhaustion. Ambulances are trying to go up into the fire zone so that they can get these firefighters that have been affected by the extreme conditions up here. It's about 102 degrees outside, according to my car's thermometer. And they have a lot of fire crews that have been showing up in the past couple of minutes. We've got Calistoga Fire Department right next to me. We've got the Napa County emergency ambulances that are going up some of the private roads to try and get some of the firefighters impacted by these extreme conditions that we've been reporting on for the past couple of days. They've got me turning around. There's an incident command up here on Crystal Springs Road. To kind of give you an idea of where I'm at, I'm on 236 Crystal Springs Road. That is...
Okay, hold on. I'm trying to remember if there's another spot in this I want to look at. Yeah, this is actual footage of it. Oops.
People, firefighters that are now coming down with heat exhaustion just because of the extreme heat out here. Grant?
And this is obviously a place that is no stranger to fires, unfortunately. Have any neighbors talked to you, or what can you tell us about what's surrounding this fire and maybe the emotion that's tied into seeing another one?
Yeah, I mean, it is fire season. California does have fires, but according to experts that we've heard here on this stream, the size and the frequency so far in the early fire season is concerning as it goes on for the next, let's see, like 4 months. Oh, mini doctors, good to see you. Snixabea, the anti-corporatist. Oh, a bunch of people showed back up. Good to see you all. Alright, what next? Alright, let's just talk directly about the temperatures that have been hitting the U.S. This is from CBS from 5 hours ago.
Tonight, dangerous temperatures are scorching much of the western U.S. More than 31 million Americans from California to Texas are under excessive heat warnings and advisories, with cities like Sacramento and Brownsville hitting daily record highs. CBS's Ben Tracy reports the mercury is topping the triple digits in at least 5 states.
In California's Central Valley, Joe Del Bosque is telling his farm workers to watch for signs of heat stress, take extra breaks, and hydrate.
How much do you worry about the folks out here working?
We watch our folks very carefully. That's when we'll go to either Plan B, which means take more breaks, drink more water, or we go to Plan C, which means shut it down.
The heat dome trapping hot air over a wide swath of the West is sending temperatures soaring 15 to 20 degrees above average.
Early season heat waves have outsized
15 to 20 degrees above average in the entire area. That is insane. This is insane. What the fuck is happening right now? It is June 6th. Oh, God. All right. No.
Temperatures soaring 15 to 20 degrees above average.
Early season heat waves have outsized impacts on human health.
John Abatsoglu is a climate scientist at UC Merced. He says it's unusual to get this hot this early. Scientists say this western heat wave is made 3 times more likely by human-caused climate change.
What is climate change doing to heat waves?
Yeah, climate change is giving these heat waves a boost.
They're also getting hotter and lasting longer.
Thank you, sir.
Extreme heat is the deadliest weather-related event in the United States,
It was
killing more
revelatory.
people than hurricanes, floods, and tornadoes combined.
Here in Merced, California, it's going to be 104 degrees today, a near record. This fair opens tonight, and several years ago they moved this from July up to June because it was too hot in July, and now apparently it's too hot in June as well.
I feel like that sort of thing, like these sort of real world examples say so fucking much. It's like it's so tangible to think about. He said it several years ago. I don't know exactly when that means, but my assumption is several usually isn't too many. Maybe 5, 7. I don't know. That seems like even stretching it for the word several. But in whatever amount of time that is, we'll even call it a decade, right? Just to be generous with the word several. To have to move the date of a festival from July to June, and now to have the first week in June be too hot for people, like physically, like against, like, you know, it is just insane. It is insane just how quickly, I mean, oh my God. Basically taking it from the middle of summer to spring. The one on Oregon had it at 113 degrees for a week. Yeah, that sounds terrible. We're just going to keep talking about this fucking heat wave because it's going to stay like this for a little bit.
Well, a dangerous and potentially record-breaking heat wave is hitting states in the southwestern United States.
Parts of California, Arizona, Nevada, they've had excessive heat warnings, and some areas could see temperatures around 110 degrees. And the weather is, temperatures are rising globally as well. The EU's climate service says last month was the hottest May on record, and the world has seen record temperatures now for 12 straight months.
CBS News senior national and environmental correspondent Ben Tracy is in Merced, California. That's in the central part of the state. So, Ben, a lot of times people hear these stories and they say, oh, it's summer and it's hot. This shouldn't be breaking news.
Changing the events, like the dates of summer events like fairs, will help make more people notice, but will it make them notice fast enough for us to do something about this, right? Like, I just feel like going out and just shaking every person I see and saying, hey, climate's changing. Obviously not literally.
About why this is actually different than just normal summertime temperatures.
Yeah, so here in Merced right now, it's 83 degrees, which obviously is pretty pleasant, but in a couple of hours, it's going to be well over 100 degrees. They could hit 105 here today, which would tie the all-time record for this date. And the reason this is unusual is not because it's 105 in Merced. That happens often here in the summertime. What's unusual is that it's happening this early in the season. And when you look at places like Las Vegas or Phoenix, for them to be hitting, 112, 114, that happens, but it usually happens in July and August, and now it's happening in June. So this is a heat wave that...
So all 4 of these states were under 100 plus degree temperatures already, first week in June. And like he was saying, usually you see these kinds of temperatures in August, which means what are we going to see in August? We're going to see, like, Arizona literally melting. I mean, maybe not. And I mean, things do already melt, right, in the sun. I've seen it happen in places not in Arizona. But I guess my point is that, we're talking about potentially seeing the same sort of temperatures that India has been seeing recently, which was over 125 degrees Fahrenheit. So, no, it's looking like this summer's going to be pretty shitty. Now let's talk about what I was talking about earlier. North Bay students coming up with an invention that can help firefighters battle the heat. I think I saw somebody in the comments ask if it could help them battle the heat. I guess potentially, but I think it's mostly focused on firefighters.
Well, even during a hot day like today, firefighters put their bodies on the line in the most extreme conditions, during scorching temperatures while wearing at least 45 pounds of gear. And it's no surprise that sometimes firefighters need to be hospitalized for heat exhaustion while on the job. But that's where a group of North Bay students come in, and as our Brian Hackney shows us, they came up with an invention that could help firefighters feel a lot more comfortable.
These are the problem-solving whiz kids of Calistoga High. But which problem to solve? Heather Brooks, their teacher, explains.
We want them to form a bond in the community. We want them to start inventing for things that matter.
So how did all this start?
We went out and interviewed our community, mostly organizations.
And every single group said they were very, very hot on their job, especially if they're outside.
That group included ag workers outside in the hot sun. And Robert Allen,
I take it back.
Inside his Marin art gallery.
How did I miss that part of it? I'm dumb. This is what happens when I listen to things on 2x and try and get through things faster. You saw a cassowary in Australia? That's wild. I've seen those. They do look kind of like dinosaurs. They're kind of creepy.
I run the art gallery, but there's something else that I do. I'm the assistant chief of the Muir Beach Volunteer Fire Department. Dehydration and heat exhaustion are big issues for firefighters.
And you want to keep them cool.
We do. We want to keep them cool while they're fighting fires.
The kids well remember the massive Tubbs fire of 2017.
There were alerts at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. that we had to leave. There was a huge fireball just a field over, and it was really scary.
Because of all the wildfires we've had in this area, we just...
Before they said all that, I was just about to pause the video and be like, you know, these kids sound like they've been affected by these fires personally somehow. Like they feel like it sounds like they have a personal connection to all this.
The firefighters because we cared about them.
And also our agriculture workers because they were mostly our parents.
90% of the students here are Latino, so with Alexa Navarrete as lead scientist.
And I'm an administrator.
And I am the CEO.
And I am the lead inventor.
They designed a kind of cooling smartware, experimenting, finessing, rejecting ideas.
I do have to do that sometimes.
Until their device actually did keep a firefighter cool in a hot sauna. So what is the breakthrough device? If we showed you, we'd have to kill you.
This idea is top secret.
Yes.
We're hoping to be patent pending by June. And we don't have protected by the Patent Bureau yet, so anybody could come in and copy it, and we lose our ability to claim that it's our device then.
So yeah, I don't even know what it is, but it could potentially help you. I really want to know what it is. I don't know about you. Alright, now since we're talking about heat, let's look at this video from a day ago. Reuters. Warning of climate hell after the 12 hottest months on record. I think this is...
The month just ended ranked as the warmest May on record. And the month before that was the warmest April. And so was March. Each of the past 12 months ranked as the warmest on record in year-on-year comparisons. That's according to the EU's Climate Change Monitoring Service on Wednesday. The global temperature rise underscores a chilling reality.
Our planet is trying to tell us something, but we don't seem to be listening.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres on Wednesday raised alarms over another report looking at the years to come. The UN's World Meteorological Organization reported there's now an 80% chance, up from 66% last year, the planet will see a calendar year with an average temperature that exceeds 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Climate scientists have warned that an average rise of 1.5 centigrade globally would result in extreme and irreversible impacts.
We are playing Russian roulette with our planet.
Absolutely, Anthony. Absolutely. Now let's look at this. Start taking a look at actual current events, not just people talking about them in relation to the weather. first, though, let's look at this from the UN Weather Agency, who made a statement very recently, reaffirming what they said previously this year.
It is with some concern that we at the WMO once again sound the red alert on climate.
Hold on. Do we have 20 likes? I haven't even looked. Oh my god, we have 26 likes. No one's told me we have 26 likes. 5. Is that Morty? I think that's Morty. It's Morty. My god. Okay, I don't know how long it's been like that. Sorry, everyone. Let's go back to the beginning of this.
It is with some concern that we at the WMO once again sound the red alert on climate. There is a nearly 9 in 10 likelihood.
Oh my god, I did give you... Ugh. You're right, I said Cisco. I did. I remember it now. Somehow. Somehow I just totally forgot that. So now you get a free Morty, because I've already put Morty up. Not going back. We've gone too far.
That at least 1 year between 2024 and 2028 will be the hottest on record, even hotter than 2023, which smashed all temperature records. And this report makes it clear that we are on a record-breaking warming path. It's expected to get even worse over the next 5 years. There's an 80% likelihood that the annual average global temperature will temporarily exceed 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial levels for at least one of the next 5 calendar years.
Oh, God. So frustrating. So frustrating that we're here right now. There's been so much talk. Since, honestly, before I became an adult, about doing things, it's just...
Back in 2015, the chance was close to 0. Beyond the predictions and statistics is the stark reality that we risk trillions of dollars in economic losses, millions of lives upended, and destruction of fragile and precious ecosystems and the biodiversity that exists there. What is clear is that the Paris Agreement target of 1.5 degrees C is hanging on a thread.
We have the technology. We just need the will. It's literally all it is. So many other things we could be using other than oil to power our electricity grids and our cars, transportation and things in general. Honestly, cars, the way that we have things set up with it just being a car-centric society right now, that also needs to be addressed heavily. And I've been I think we need to talk about that soon. Probably gonna include some things maybe some people here have seen. I'm not gonna get ahead of myself though. Let's talk next here. A little further south into South America, where unprecedented wildfires are currently ravaging Brazil's wetlands. Now, we've talked about this a little bit, but I did feel it deserved a second look, considering the implications of it. Because the fact is, when we talk about the country of Brazil, and in the borders of their country resides one of the largest carbon sinks on the planet. So really anything happening around that is, in terms of such as wildfires, it's definitely something to be concerned about. This one's from a day ago. So let's do it. There we go.
Turn our focus now to Brazil, where wildfires are expanding in the world's largest tropical wetland that's been hit hard by drought. The Pantanal wetlands are in central West Brazil. They cover an area of 42 million acres, and Brazil owns 80% of it, while the rest is shared between Paraguay and Bolivia. And satellite data shows a 980% increase in fires in the Pantanal this year, and that's the highest number since 2020, and that was the worst year on record. While nearly 320 million square meters of wetland have been destroyed, they're home to jaguars, tapirs, caiman.
320 million square meters destroyed. I don't know what that calculates down to in acres or square miles, but that's a lot. That's a lot. Because it's like a wait, no. It's like 2 million square miles, I think. Doing the math, it's very rough. That's a very rough estimate. Don't write that down.
Anacondas and giant anteaters. And another strong drought is expected this year after a wet season with rains 60% below average.
Now, I don't know about you, but when I hear that the place with the biggest rainforest on the planet says, where the place with the biggest rainforest on the planet has 60% less rain, I get concerned. And the fact is, actually, I don't know if we can say that. I gotta take that back, because I think was she talking about all of Brazil or just this one area? Because we did see an incredible amount of rain hit the very, very southeast of Brazil, which, as you may be aware, absolutely inundated the entire Rio do Sul region, where I think there's two very, very large cities right next to each other. And yeah, the photos from that were absolutely devastating. Maybe I didn't hear this right. Hold on, let me just go back and hear that.
Anacondas and giant anteaters. And another strong drought is expected this year after a wet season with rains 60% below average.
Wasn't actually clear. She didn't specify whether it was just this region or all of Brazil. Pantanal was supposed to be flooded at this time. It's known as the largest wetland in the world. And now we see it here. It's like a desert, an inferno, fire everywhere. Now it's very dry. Due to climate change. In the afternoon, you're no longer able to see the horizon to navigate or work. The boat, it's hard to breathe. It's hard for newborn children. Yeah, if it's hard for you, it's hard for newborn children. That's a fact. It's just how that works. Okay. Alright, let's switch a little bit further down here, because we already heard actually his interview. I think earlier this week. I want to say like Tuesday. But there's more to this Al Jazeera piece here, so let's listen to this part. Oh God. And
let's go live now to Monica Yanakiv, who's in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Good to have you with us, Monica. What has caused these fires?
Well, this is a dry season, and it's supposed to start in July, but it started earlier, a month earlier, and this is because we have a natural climate phenomena called El Niño, which has caused extreme droughts in the north and also floods in the south of Brazil. But also there's global...
Hold on. I don't think anybody can see anything. Can you? Doesn't look like it. Hold on. Wait, did that fix it? That might have fixed it. Oh my god. This is wild. Why do you hate me? Streamlabs.
Farming is responsible for this, and also experts say that 84% of the problems there are also the fault of man, human activity. When the lands dry there, these are the largest tropical wetlands in the world. When the lands dry there, like now, then people start taking their cattle there or trying to grow crops in areas that they shouldn't. So the conjunction of these three factors is what is causing this.
Right, and I imagine the impact and the consequences are quite significant.
Yes, they are. This is a region that lives off tourism. Thousands of people go there every year to get to see jaguars from close, to get to see caimans and birds. The largest parrot is there. I'm
not seeing a lot of parrots, but some of this footage is from pretty high up. Yeah, this whole situation is disturbing. Brazil's been getting hit by some ridiculous freaking just weather and climate-related disasters. It's a real problem. Oh, God. Okay, let's look at this to cap off what we're talking about with Brazil. This is from a day ago, where, according to the Associated Press, Brazil's orange production has hit its lowest level in decades due to disease and climate challenges.
Fatima Brandão is searching for her chickens in a haze of smoke. The source? Fires tearing through the world's largest tropical wetland in central western Brazil faster than ever before. Brandão just turned 59. She's lived her whole life here and says she's never seen anything like it.
There never used to be smoke here. The sun shone clearly and the sky was always blue. Now the whole hill is on fire and smoke has clouded the entire area.
Experts say this year could overtake 2020 as the Pantanal wetlands' worst year for wildfires on record. After a shortfall of rain disrupted seasonal flooding, scientists blame an amped-up El Niño weather pattern fueled by climate change. The worst of the usual dry season is still ahead. These wetlands are about 10 times the size of the Florida Everglades and home to animals like jaguars and anacondas.
I feel a lot of sadness because if we are here, we are breathing, and we think that breathing is critical. Imagine what the animals in the field are experiencing.
The people who live in the Pantanal mostly farm, hunt, and fish, but they are increasingly turning to ecotourism to make a living. Brandão is retired. She says it's hard to do anything around the house.
Now, I don't know exactly where Brazil ranks in the world on orange production, but I'm going to guess it's pretty high. As according to Statista.com, they produce around 17 million metric tons of oranges. I don't know exactly how many oranges that comes out to, but I'm guessing it takes a few oranges to make a ton. Well, a metric ton. Time for the ad break. I already ran it during one of these because I forgot to do it like the regular way. And that's on me. I was so late to it that it felt wrong to do it, like with the normal version, with like telling people things about how they should be subscribed and how I'm only monetized on Twitch and Patreon right now. Those are my only two ways of making money, as YouTube refuses to allow me to be making money until I get at least 500 subscribers, which is the only thing that I need to get YouTube monetized. Just gonna point that out to you in case you think of anybody who would really like the show. You can be like, hey, I know somebody you should subscribe to. Just thinking out loud. Okay, what was I saying? I was also saying that you can get some pretty sweet emotes over there on Twitch if you do subscribe. Even followers get a few emotes. Oh no, that's not what I was saying. What I was saying is that Greece has actually closed more tourist sites amid a heat wave. This is from a day ago. Wait, no, wait. Sorry, did we even look at the Brazil orange production? We didn't. I forgot to. I fucked up. Why do I fuck up? Either way, we've talked about it. The fire that happened in Paradise, California, but it was absolutely massive and caused just a horrific level of devastation.
So far this year, nearly 42,000 acres have burned in California wildfires, with last week's Coral Fire the biggest at 14,000 acres. And that puts 2018's Camp Fire into perspective at more than 10 times the size of the Coral Fire. It was also the state's deadliest. Nearly 6 years later, victims of the Camp Fire are still putting their lives back together, whether they chose to rebuild or start over somewhere else. Here's CBS's Jonathan Vigliotti from Paradise, California, with tonight's Eye on America.
95% of Paradise surrendered to flame in the 2018 Camp Fire. The once lush landscape covered in pine trees stripped bare. But from the ashes, a new breed of American pioneer was born.
Hi, oh my God. It's so good to see you.
Kylie Warble and her daughter Ellie were one of the first families to return.
A lot of people don't want to come back here. I had to stay here.
We first met the Warbles back in 2019, 6 months after the firestorm destroyed everything. They barely escaped with their lives.
Why are you crying?
Because it's so sad.
Why are you smiling, bro? Why are you smiling? That is the most inappropriate smile I've ever seen.
Why are you crying?
Jesus Christ, dude. Come on. This girl's entire life was just burned to the ground. That's why she's at least use a different face, please.
Because it's so sad. What's sad? We're talking about everything that happened to us.
Between then and now, how has life for both of you changed?
Even though we lost everything in the fire, it's nice to have something new.
You heal every single day. It's nice to get back in our hometown because then it's like you get a fresh start on life.
And thousands of people have come back for a fresh start. In fact, Paradise was the fastest growing city in California for the past 4 years.
It is very strange to me that people would go back to rebuild in the ashes. It's a strange choice. Although, according to some, because of the fire having happened, the town is now, I guess, technically safer. Because of the fact that there's no more trees to catch fire, I guess. I guess that makes sense to me, but it weirds me out. It genuinely weirds me out. If you ask me to go move into a place that is sitting on the ashes of the former house that stood on whatever property, I would be very skeptical about it, to be perfectly honest. Maybe that's silly. I don't know. Did somebody say that they're voting for Trump? I didn't hear that. He's just helping the child relive the most devastating thing that ever happened to her. It was yeah, and that footage was from like directly after it. It wasn't even like years later. It was like it seemed like it was within a short period of time. It was like, hey, tell me about how shitty that was. Beaming smile. Okay, dude, tone it down. Okay, let's go on to talk about more current stuff. This is from a day ago, where a report has found that Los Angeles is the most disaster-prone county in the country. Which I found fascinating. Odd. Wouldn't have expected Los Angeles.
Here in Southern California, we enjoy warm weather, plenty of sunshine, amazing beaches, and beautiful mountains. But with the good usually comes some bad. According to a new survey, we live in the single most disaster-prone region in the entire country. The report comes from ClaimGuard.org, a nonprofit that tracks issues important to insurance companies. They rank Los Angeles as the most disaster-vulnerable county in the nation. Riverside, San Bernardino, and Orange also rank in the top 10, with San Diego and Ventura both in the top 20. The reasons are what you probably expect. Southern California gets more earthquakes than any other region in the country. We also have to deal with fires, floods, landslides, droughts, heat waves, cold snaps, and the occasional tropical system. The survey also found many of our neighbors here in Southern California have a more difficult time than others getting access to emergency health care. And the cost of rebuilding after a disaster is usually higher here than it is in most other places.
3 recent attacks by cow elks in Estes Park have some people on alert. Colorado.
Hey, settle down. I'm not done talking about that. So yeah, I mean, it didn't occur to me. All of those things that they were listing there, but you know, I guess I forget that, you know, like for instance, like it's on a major fault and other things like that. But I think disasters, I think like Florida or like the Midwest from like tornadoes and things like that. Yeah, no, Stefan, exactly. I was thinking like Florida or Texas or some of the other places that we've been covering recently. Nope. Apparently it's Los Angeles. Okay, now let's go into the middle of the country here. Talk about a couple of things happening in Colorado first. This one is from 3 hours ago, where apparently Colorado Parks and Wildlife have been discussing the recent elk attacks in Estes Park.
3 recent attacks by cow elks in Estes Park have some people on alert. Colorado Parks and Wildlife calling this unprecedented to have just so many encounters like this. And this really is the time of year when elk are protective over newborn calves. Your reporter, Olivia Young, updates us tonight from Estes Park.
This is where a woman just walking her dog was attacked by an elk on Friday. Colorado Parks and Wildlife say she startled the cow elk and tried to run away, but it knocked her down, stomped, and kicked her. It's the 3rd elk attack in Estes Park in 10 days. CPW says it's calving season and cow elk are known to charge perceived threats to their babies, but this number of attacks is unprecedented.
But actually having cow elk stomp people and make that physical contact with humans and 3 times, all kind of in the same area of Estes Park.
Okay, does this fake blur bother anyone but me? Because honestly, it really does bug me. Like the after effect blur, or like the whatever they're using, Final Cut or something. It bothers me. I'd much prefer somebody use a lens to blur out the background.
Is certainly unusual.
CPW has no evidence that the 3 attacks were by the same.
It's pronounced Estes. This presenter keeps saying Estes. So whose fault is that? I was just going by what they were saying.
Animal.
Van Hoos says they would not consider euthanizing the elk in a case like this, as aggression from cows protecting babies is considered normal behavior. The agency is monitoring the attacks and considering what could be behind them.
It's most likely a combination of things like more people are in Estes Park, especially during this time of year. Estes Park is beautiful. Elk live here year round, and in the calving season you see more elk in town, and then that creates less space for calves to be and less kind of safe space for calves as well.
The previous 2 attacks involved area children who were charged and stomped, one riding her bike and another at a playground. All 3 victims had to receive medical attention. CPW warns everyone in Estes Park to be cautious around elk until calving season ends in early summer. Make sure you give them a wide berth and keep dogs on a leash.
Yeah, maybe don't fuck with the elk. Who would have thought elk were somehow dangerous to to humans? Wouldn't have been my first guess. But hey, stay safe out there. Honestly, though, if we don't stop encroaching on, the natural wildlife, well, things like this are going to probably keep happening. I said Estes. Did I say Estes? That's possible. That's very possible. Okay. Now, also in Colorado, there is a brush fire that fire crews are attempting to put out, or were attempting to put out. I'm not sure if they've managed to get this under control yet, but this was from only 5 hours ago, where apparently large brush fire was burning near a place called Bar Lake. I'm not sure entirely where that is.
We begin with breaking news. Our newsroom tracking this fire this afternoon. If you see smoke in the air, this is where it's coming from. This is video copter shot of a fire. It's burning near 132nd and Piccadilly in Brighton, just east of Bar Lake State Park. The details are limited. 3 acres have burned so far, and structures are threatened. Firefighters are using brush trucks to battle those flames. We'll let you know if we learn any more.
More than 20 million people in the Southwest are under heat alerts as
The park is the elk's home. Yeah, exactly. Jerry gets it.
More than 20 million people in the Southwest are under heat alerts as triple-digit temperatures threaten the region. Highs today will reach 104 in Phoenix and 97 in Sacramento, but you know what? It gets hotter in the coming days. Yeah, this is the beginning. For more on the forecast, let's bring in meteorologist Molly McCullum from our partners at the Weather Channel. Molly, good morning.
Good morning, Anne-Marie. There's no hiding the fact that summer is here now, and it's here to stay as we're watching heat build in across the lower 48 for the next couple of days. In fact, by Wednesday, 106 million of us above 90 degrees. Meanwhile, in the Sunshine State, not a lot of sunshine this week because we're watching repeated heavy downpours, all courtesy of really intense tropical moisture that's being steered to the north. What that's going to result in is not just Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but all the way through Friday, seeing heavy downpours that likely will ruin some of your beach and vacation plans. A little bit more optimistic of a forecast in the Panhandle.
Yeah, and so I actually have some footage of what's happened as a result of all of this. Here's from 3 hours ago, where heavy rain brought flash flooding to Florida. And also there is, oh wait, do I not have this? Did I not add this story? God damn it. I suck. Oh no, there it is. There it is. Flash flooding. Florida, please.
Tonight, millions of Floridians are bracing for flash flooding with storms that could bring a month's worth of rain in a matter of days. Right now, travelers flying in and out of Miami International Airport are being hit with delays and cancellations, and many roads are a flooded mess. CBS's Manuel Bojorquez is in Miami, where it's going to rain all week long.
Tonight, tropical rainstorms in Florida are packing a punch.
In Holiday, Florida, rain totals reached nearly 4 inches as roads there filled with water. The front end of the Chevy Impala became submerged on the side of the road. These men were driving by and helped push the car of another driver who got stuck.
Yeah. Does not look fun in Florida right now. France is also flooding. I actually didn't hear about that one. Not shocked. We've heard about a bunch of abnormal flooding happening in Europe. I don't suck? Thank you. I appreciate that. But I did forget a video. Somehow. I didn't add it to the right playlist. It's not here. But I guess what I'll say is that all of this is part of potential tropical storm that is, I think, like it just entered the Bahamas region. Although there isn't a lot of likelihood that it will turn into a hurricane or even a tropical storm necessarily, but there is a large system in that area that storm watchers are looking at, keeping track of in the case that it does amplify. Okay, now let's go further south to Amazon. Well, not the Amazon, Brazil, technically. Not the Amazon. This is from 8 hours ago. According to Reuters, quote unquote, an inferno. The largest wetlands in the world are on fire. Usually I don't associate fire with wetlands, or vice versa.
Fishing guide Hamilton Brando is walking on what he says should be flooded land. Instead, it's dried to a crisp. Brazil's Mato Grosso do Sul state, home to the Pantanal wetlands, is being ravaged by fires.
That's a huge area.
Pantanal was supposed to be flooded at...
That looked humongous. This is like aerial footage. This has got to be out of a helicopter. I guess it could be out of a drone. It could be a drone as well. But either way, this is a huge area. Good God.
Grosso do Sul state.
Yeah, this has got to be way the fuck up. Like, at least like 1,000 feet.
Home to the Pantanal wetlands, is being ravaged by fires.
Pantanal was supposed to be flooded at this time. It's known as the largest wetland in the world, and now we see it here. It's like a desert, an inferno, fire everywhere.
With a wall of...
So usually this entire area is flooded because it's a wetland. However, it is shockingly, not wet, even though it's a wetland. And the fact is Brazil, at least the southeast portion of Brazil, got absolutely dumped on by rain. But it's not, it wasn't over the entire country. And this spot is just incredibly dry, leaving the entire ecosystem to be at risk. You know, if a wetland doesn't stay wet, I point out a lot of the things that live there suddenly leave or die.
Choking off the other side of the field, Brando helps farmer Clayton Jose save his cattle. The ranch is accessible by boat, but the area where the cattle are stuck can only be navigated by horse due to the nature of the wetlands.
We're trying to take them to the other side of the bay so they have a better chance of surviving. The way the fire is coming, it could surround them and they could burn to death.
There was a 980% increase in the number of fires in the Pantanal through June 5th, compared with the same period last year. That's according to satellite data from Brazil's National Institute for Space Research. Those figures are raising alarm bells as the region heads into the riskiest season for wildfires, which usually starts in July and peaks in August and September.
So it's not even at the peak of fire season right now, and yet they have a wetland that's on fucking fire right now. Seems really antithetical to the idea of fire season. And you heard it from her. It's not even at the peak. Peak doesn't start for another month or longer. Oh, God. Okay, yeah, let's look a little bit more at what's happening in Brazil with regards to these wildfires. This one's from Al Jazeera.
Turn our focus now to Brazil, where wildfires are expanding in the world's largest tropical wetland that's been hit hard by drought. The Pantanal wetlands are in central West Brazil. They cover an area of 42 million acres, and Brazil owns 80% of it, while the rest is shared between Paraguay and Bolivia. And satellite data shows a 980% increase in fires in the Pantanal this year, and that's the highest number since 2020, and that was the worst year on record. While nearly 320 million square meters of wetland have been destroyed, they're home to jaguars, tapirs, caimans, anacondas, and giant anteaters. And another strong drought is expected this year after a wet season with rains 60% below average.
This is horrifying. Brazil is one of those places that I think of as having just an abundance of water, right? Because of the Amazon rainforest and the, the river, all of that, the massive river systems and lakes and stuff they have around here. And yet somehow an entire portion of the country, which is supposed to be always wet, is dry and on fire. 60% less rain, 1,000% more fires. That is disturbing. Imagine being a bird that is this is the place, like your migratory bird or something. Yeah, no, totally. That would be fucked. God.
Essa época era para estar alagado, o Pantanal tá alagado, né?
Pantanal was supposed to be something known as the largest wetland in the world, but now we see it here.
Parecendo
It's like a desert, an inferno, fire everywhere.
E agora
now it's very dry.
E é através
due to climate change.
Dessa mudança climática, a gente já sabe. Chega a tardezinha já não tem mais
you're no longer able to see the horizon to navigate and work with the boat.
Fica difícil.
It's hard to breathe. It's hard for newborn children.
Criança também, recém-nascido. É
The
difícil,
heat gets
calor,
stronger
cada
and
vez mais.
stronger.
O Pantanal já é calor, e aí fica calor, seco.
Pantanal is
fumaça.
I don't know why they would make that two different.
O Pantanal já é calor. E aí
Pantanal's
fica
already
calor,
getting hot
seco,
and hotter,
fumaça.
drier with smoke.
O clima fica muito
The weather gets very bad. Yeah, okay, well, those are a lot of the same footage that we watched, but just figured we would kind of drive the point home on that one. Alright, what else do we have left to look at here? Okay, one last environmental story before we take a break. This is from 7 hours ago in Chile, where Humboldt, it was just so cute. Come on, that baby elephant. You can't you can't not smile when you see a baby elephant putting its trunk on a man's face. It's fantastic, just amazing, just so good. Okay, now let's get back to talking about the environment a little bit here. What do we got today? Okay, yeah, let's start in California. We have been talking about how California's fire season has gotten off to, well, a banner start might be an inappropriate way of saying it, but something of an inauspicious beginning with very large fires starting at a very unusual time. This is from NBC Bay Area from a couple hours ago. asking the question how changing climate is impacting California's fire season.
Turning now to our climate and crisis. As expected, hot days paired with dry winds are making the official start of the regular fire season in the Bay Area one to watch. And it's expected to be a rough season. Research shows the timing and the intensity of wildfires is changing due to the influence of the warming planet. I want to bring in meteorologist Vianney Arana again. Let's talk about some of these trends that you've been watching in terms of the temperatures and this combination.
Yeah, the combination is key, right? There's three different things that we look at. It's the temperature, the humidity, and the winds. But of course, our trends are showing the temperatures getting warmer and warmer over the stretch of days. So look at this climate central map. So I want to show you, this is considered annual fire weather days. What does that mean? It's the average annual hot, dry, windy days stretching from 1973 to 2023. So if we take a closer look, if you look at the key right up there, you can see how the numbers have gone up. So we're talking about 7, 56, and look at some of these areas. We're talking bold red colors, and that trend has gotten worse over the past couple of years. Also, fire weather days, and this one I kind of zoomed into San Jose. Notice we've seen an increase of about 4 days so far. That means that we're seeing longer fire weather seasons, but also an earlier start to the season. Of course, another factor that plays into this is whether we had a very wintry mix with a lot of rain, plentiful precipitation. In addition to that, we're monitoring the temperatures. When we talk about summer warming, look at the West Coast stretching down through Texas. I mean, we're talking about a boost in high heat days.
Yeah, wow. Some of these places have seen 4-degree increases over 50 years. That's enough to really cause some problems. Must be blocked. BCAT is not here. Do nobody listen to Soul Life. He is gaslighting you all. BCAT is not here. God damn it, Soul Life. Okay. Exactly. It was a goddamn trick. Okay. Let's go to this from 10 hours ago, because we are already talking about heat. Might as well stick here. Because according to CBS News, 20 million people are currently, as of this moment, under extreme heat alerts in the Southwest. That's 10% of the population. Okay, a little bit less, but it's a lot of people.
More than 20 million people in the Southwest are under heat alerts as triple-digit temperatures threaten the region. Highs today will reach 104 in Phoenix and 97 in Sacramento, but you know what? It gets hotter in the coming days. Yeah, this is the beginning. For more on the forecast, let's bring in meteorologist Molly McCullum from our partners at the Weather Channel. Molly, good morning.
Good morning, Anne-Marie. There's no hiding the fact that summer is here now, and it's here to stay as we're watching heat build in across the lower 48 for the next couple of days. In fact, by Wednesday, 106 million of us above 90 degrees. Meanwhile, in the Sunshine State, not a lot of sunshine this week because we're watching repeated heavy downpours, all courtesy of really intense tropical moisture that's being steered to the north. What that's going to result in is not just...
Sorry, I got to go back and look at this graph that she was looking at first, because what the fuck? Why does the title say 20 million if 42 million people are already above it? Be better at your titles, CBS. You guys really suck at your jobs. I'm not going to lie.
6 million of us
with all this money, you'd think they'd be better at things.
above 90 degrees. Meanwhile, in the Sunshine State, not a lot of sunshine this week because we're watching repeated heavy downpours, all courtesy of really intense tropical moisture that's being steered to the north. What that's going to result in is not just Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but all the way through Friday, seeing heavy downpours that likely will ruin some of your beach and vacation plans. A little bit more optimistic of a forecast in the Panhandle. But the silver lining is we could actually use the rain in parts of South Florida where...
Okay, cool. Thanks. Point is that within the next few days, there's going to be over 100 million people who are in extreme heat. As we were recently discussing, there has been a change in how heat is even classified as it relates to human health. So I figured we'd look at this story again really quickly, just to remind us of what that change was. I don't even know if CBS has gotten on board with all that. Does CBS own the Weather Channel as well? They do, don't they? Good God. Well, all I know is that, first off, their coverage in Israel has been utterly atrocious and basically just been pure propaganda, which you would think wouldn't take that much money or journalism to do. I just don't know where all the money's going. It must be these big-ass fucking monitors. Paramount Global actually owns them? Okay. So some conglomerate
As those summer
owns
temperatures
all.
surge on the West Coast and across the country, many will rely on the heat index for safety alerts, which tells us what conditions feel like on our skin. But as national environmental correspondent David Schechter reports, experts say what we need is a new standard to tell us not how it feels outside, but how much heat is damaging our bodies.
I'm running inside a lab at Penn State University, where scientists have discovered a sobering new truth. Heat and humidity can be dangerous to our bodies at much lower temperatures than previously thought.
Okay, hold on. Let me just get us to the place where they actually...
Do they know that?
Hush. Get us to the place where we actually talk about the numbers. Oops. Play.
Sorry.
For the last 20 years, scientists have had a theory that anything above 95 degrees Fahrenheit with 100% humidity over an extended period was the danger zone. But that theory was never tested on human subjects. What Kenny's research found is the danger zone starts far lower at 87 degrees and 100% humidity.
I love how we didn't test that. I know I said it before, I'm going to say it again. But I just love how we didn't test that theory. We've just been kind of going without any real information. Now we just went with a hypothesis and said, you know, the experiment's not necessary. Wouldn't want to concern ourselves with that. Okay. So yeah, it's gone down by 8 degrees now that people have actually done the science on it. So remember that. If your boss says, you know, it's not that hot, tell him or her, 87 degrees and 100% humidity is enough to be in the danger zone for humans. Okay. The way we're doing things isn't great. Okay, let's move on because we've got other stuff to talk about. Current stuff to look at. As Bay Area is currently experiencing a number of fires near the region, and an elevated fire danger is currently in effect in the Bay Area as of a day ago.
Let's take a live look from Sutro Tower at the Golden Gate Bridge, and if there is a more beautiful day anywhere in the forecast, I want to be there for it, because today was awfully fine, Rob.
Not bad. Yeah, you do see the clear skies. San Francisco, what's good for clearing our skies out, sunshine from the coast to the inland valleys. Those west-northwest winds, though, an issue for fire danger. We'll be talking more about that coming up across those inland hills later tonight. But look at the sunshine there in San Francisco. 65 degrees, west wind at 14 miles per hour, low 80s into San Jose, but a little windy into the Santa Clara Valley. Got a north wind at 20 miles per hour right now in San Jose, 80 degrees in Dublin, wind out of the west.
Hold on. I don't need to watch all this. God dang it. Where did they start talking about the fires? I think it's here. Yeah, here it is.
But here is the big story. Winds out of the northwest, then eventually north into Monday, leading to this red flag warning starting at 11 o'clock tonight. Central and southern Lake County, the northern half of Solano County will be watching this too as the winds really start to bring down these humidity levels. Notice today these areas in red inland across the North and East Bay will see some recovery in those levels overnight as the winds come back in across the bay. But during the day tomorrow, similar spread of low humidity numbers, especially up towards Lake County, Napa County, and into the interior East Bay. But watch what happens on Monday. We begin to see a drier start. Those arrows pointing from the north. That's going to make things drier, and at times as those wind speeds pick up late Sunday night into Monday morning, I think that is when we're going to see the peak risk for some inland fire danger. It's going to be.
So that's literally right now. Okay. Move on from this one. Because there's other fires in California right now. And in about 10 hours, the Post fire in Gorman outside of LA went from 4,400 acres to 11,000 acres. Let's watch the progression of this one.
Post fire broke out just before 2 o'clock this afternoon, quickly exploding to more than 4,000 acres. And as you can see, several buildings have burned.
We have live team coverage of the evacuations and the conditions, starting with NBC4's Christian Cáceres, who's live tonight in Gorman. Christian.
That's right, guys. I can tell you LA County Fire tells me they have zero containment of this fire, and that's because of the persistent 20-mile-per-hour winds that we have here in the area. They say that is the biggest challenge they have been facing today. But right now, fire teams are in the area. They're working hard, trying to put out some of the hot spots, one of them being right here behind me. This one popped up about 5-10 minutes ago, but I can tell you the auto shop behind it, that was damaged because of the fire, and witnesses shaken up by what happened. A wildfire in Gorman kept firefighters on their toes on Saturday as they battled the blaze.
Does anybody else feel like that guy was being way too chill about that fire directly behind him?
Air and by forces on the ground. More than 250 crews from Los Angeles and Ventura counties and Angeles National Forest working together to construct perimeter fire lines in the rural region and forced a nearby campground to evacuate.
We have 1,200 people evacuated, and we will be working overnight on this fire.
Nearby, Alex Snover captured the fire with his cell phone. Watch as the fire begins to consume this auto shop.
The bushes were on fire, and when I got near the bushes, it felt like an oven, you know? It was probably like at least 250 degrees.
Yeah, that's fucked. And so that was 23 hours ago. This is from 13 hours ago. Just to kind of show you the sort of chronology.
We're going to stay with that
this
wildfire coverage, Shauna. We want to start in San Bernardino County in the city of Hesperia. That's where that brush fire broke out at around 6 o'clock last night off Highway 173 near Silverwood Lake. And according to CAL FIRE, it has burned over 1,100 acres, about 5% containment. An evacuation warning is still in place for Lake Arrowhead Equestrian Estates. We're going to stay on top of that. But let's get right to NBC4's Annette Ariola live in Gorman this morning with an update on the current conditions. Annette, do you hear us? How's it looking out there? Good morning.
Hey there, good morning to you, Michelle. That's right. It is extremely windy out here, making it very difficult for crews. In fact, Michelle, we were on our way up to Gorman. We had to stop and turn around because we spotted several fires here, and you can see some of those flames peeking through those bushes out here. We're along Pyramid Lake Road. You can see a lot of these crews that are making the rounds out here, trying to really get control of this fire. They are pulling in multiple resources from several agencies, all again in an effort to get everything under control. So again, we have seen at least 2 active fires, very large flames, and this is south of Highway 138. Now let's go ahead and show you video from overnight. You can see what crews were up against. The fire burning just out of control on the west side of the I-5. Heavy flames just spread across the hillsides. More than 250 crews from LA and Ventura counties, as well as the Angeles National Forest, working overnight to construct fire lines. They also were using multiple aircraft for water drops out here. Officials had.
Now, Gorman is in between Bakersfield and Los Angeles. Or I guess the closest municipality to Gorman is actually Santa Clarita, south of it. But there's a massive amount of forest between both Bakersfield and Los Angeles surrounding Gorman, where this fire is currently. And this could really get out of control really quickly. Like they were saying, the winds are really high right now, which could really add to the fuel for this fire, as obviously fires need oxygen to burn. So it's really going to cause more problems. I mean, it's kind of obvious already, considering the fact that it's at 11,000 acres. Changed in a blink of an eye, right? 7,000 in 10 hours. Just gone. 0% containment, according to this infographic they have on the screen. Just hope they manage a way to contain the fire. Okay, but we're not done with fires. We got to go north to Canada, to the Northwest Territories, as the wildfires in Canada have now reached the Northwest Territories. So far, nobody has been hurt by this. Nothing has been destroyed yet, but it is out of control. If I don't think I understand it correctly, at least.
Okay, we have new details on a story that's developing here at home. A wildfire growing near Fort Good Hope, Northwest Territories. Here's a map showing where the fire is located, just about 1 kilometer away from the community right now. The fire has been inching toward the airport, but no structures have yet been damaged. An evacuation order remains in effect. About 300 people have left the community so far. We'd like to bring in Mike Westwick.
Okay, that's all we're gonna do on that one, but I just figured it'd be good to at least be aware of that as well. I know we have some Canadian viewers in here. They have evacuated people from the area, as it does appear to be heading in the direction of that town, which they just pointed out, Fort Good Hope. What's next? Yes, this. Okay, let's go to Colorado, where there's actually a tiny bit of good news here, where apparently free recycling in all of Colorado will become a reality now that state lawmakers have, which I think we could all use, especially considering how hot it's been recently. Now, to talk about how fucking hot it's been recently, let's go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there's about 7 fires we're going to have to cover here, starting in Canada and ending in New Mexico. First, this is in the Northwest Territories, where firefighters there are hoping for good wind conditions as the Fort Good Hope fire continues to burn.
As an evacuation center in Norman Wells, Northwest Territories offers support to hundreds of people, a human-caused wildfire is on the doorstep of their community.
We have to take it one day at a time. Brings us comfort knowing our houses are still standing and the power was not turned off.
Officials say the fire has grown significantly, and just over 100 of Fort Good Hope's 500 residents have stayed back to help in the firefight.
The weather is in our favor a little bit. It's going to push the fire away from the community, so that's good news. But we're going to have a little bit of dry, hot weather coming, so it probably will increase the fire behavior somewhat.
Yeah, this is unfortunate. Thankfully, it has not yet made it to their community and has not yet destroyed any structures, from what I understand. But this is just the beginning of fire season, and this is just the beginning of our discussion about fires happening right now in North America. Let's just go slightly south to NBC LA. So there's literally, hold on, let me count this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there's literally 5 like large enough fires in California right now that are being reported, at least by the news. Let's start with this one from a couple of days ago. This was in Lancaster, where a brush fire destroyed a home, as well as some surrounding terrain.
Hey there, McCullough. We've been chasing wildfires all afternoon. The one that we're over right now, you're looking at part of what is known as the Max Fire. This is here in Lancaster.
Actually,
this
you can
is
see
near
that it
the
burned a
intersection
bunch
of
of other
West
shit.
Avenue K and 70th. As I zoom in, you can see what remains of a structure that burned to the ground. Firefighters still on scene, hosing this down, and you can see how quickly smoke is billowing out of what's left of, it looks like this was a home. But this wind-driven fire started around 4 p.m. here in Lancaster. LA County Fire confirming this was a third alarm fire. No word yet on how exactly this sparked, if there were any injuries related to this, but this is still an...
Yeah, so no, I'm not sure if that was put out. I do feel like it may have been, because from the aerial view of the whole area that I saw, it looked, I mean, granted, I'm not an expert on fires, but it looked like it was potentially easily containable, and that it just happened really quickly because of the very high winds that have been going through California. Speaking of those winds, there is another fire which is being called the Post Fire. This is outside of Los Angeles in both, I think it's in Los Angeles County. It's already burnt 15,000 acres so far, and from the last I heard is only 20% contained. Let's start with one of the earlier videos on this, and then we'll kind of like move chronologically through this situation.
Firefighters near Los Angeles are trying to contain a massive wind-fueled wildfire. The Post Fire erupted Saturday in Gorman. That's about 60 miles northwest of Los Angeles. And it is already the largest wildfire in California this year. Strong winds and dry conditions are creating a challenge for firefighters trying to control the flames. More than 1,000 people have been forced to evacuate the area. CBS News correspondent Carter Evans is in Gorman, California, near the scene of the wildfires. So, Carter, wow, complete burnout behind you. What's going on there?
Well, this could be one of the areas where it initially started, Lindsay. This is an auto shop, one of the only buildings that's burned.
Now, actually, I remember this auto shop. We saw this on the night that this fire started. We were actually watching video of it from when it was actually on fire, like the night of, if I'm not mistaken.
So far, I'll step out of the way here so you can see dozens of cars inside. The owner's son told me many of the cars are customer cars, so customers are going to come back and this is what they're going to find. There were hundreds of tires on site here. They all burned as well. As we pull back out a little bit, I want to show you this container. You can see how it got so hot inside. It expanded like a balloon. And speaking of heat, this is aluminum. These were
that's normal
aluminum car ribs. Now, aluminum melts at 1,200 degrees, so that gives you an idea of how hot that fire
probably
was.
still works.
They told me that these cars inside, they were completely burned in about 10 or 15 minutes. So that's how fast this fire was moving.
Christ.
So I have a couple of questions. I mean, first of
15
all,
minutes
I think
to
it's pretty
burn down
remarkable
20
that already
cars.
they're deducing where it could have started. You mentioned this auto shop could be one of those places. So what do we know about that? And then secondly, I see as you're talking, this wind that we were just mentioning, kicking up this dry dirt, maybe even ash. I mean, what are the conditions that are fueling this?
So the wind is the big problem right now. It's probably gusting 20, 25 miles an hour, enough to blow my hat off and enough to fan the flames when they get going. Good news is it's a lot cooler today, so that's helping keep these flames down a little bit. As for the cause, the official answer is it's under investigation. Talking with the shop owners here, and this is all hearsay. This is not guaranteed, but it is interesting, and it could very well be true. They're saying that witnesses who were here when this fire started said that they saw a horse trailer on the freeway up there. It was dragging a chain that was making sparks and lit some of the brush on the side of the road on fire. Now, if that's the case, that is a prime example of why they tell us out here in the West to be so careful.
Ugh. Climate change is real.
Climate and everything are the same word.
Wait for it. No, this is the way it's supposed to sound.
Climate and everything are the same word.
There we go. That's better. It's got to have the sort of reverby sound to it. Sounds better. Oh, God. So, yeah, that was one of the earlier videos. It was like the aftermath, like the night after. Now, later this day, the winds picked up to over 3 times as fast as he just said. And let's look at this report from CNN, kind of illustrating this.
A wildfire about 70 miles north of Los Angeles has consumed nearly 15,000 acres so far and has forced 1,200 people to evacuate so far. The post-fire began Saturday afternoon, Gorman, California, quickly spreading due to high winds and really dry conditions. So far, CAL FIRE saying it's only 2% contained. CNN's Camila Bernal is live from the area of Lebec, California, where you can see those winds whipping right now.
Hey, Sarah. Yeah, it really has not died down. You know, the National Weather Service predicted winds or gusts from 60 to 70 miles an hour. And
right.
It's likely what we're experiencing right now. You know, I don't have a wind gauge, but you can see
yeah, you can see the wind.
Not just us, but also the fire
Some very
and the
fancy
embers.
goggles.
And that's really the concern here, because the wind gusts can pick up those embers and fly them really across highways, across streets, and directly into people's homes sometimes. You know, that's why they already have.
You can see all these, like, spots over here where the fires are. And this is what happens with the wind. You have, you know, dry grass, bushes, things everywhere. Wind picks up embers that are heavy enough to not go out in the wind. They land somewhere that's nice and dry, and suddenly another fire pops the fuck up. And so, yeah, the situation has just continued to get worse. Actually, I'll let her talk a little bit more.
Those 1,200 people under evacuation
What's up
orders.
with all the eyes
there
in
are many
chat?
others.
Are you looking? Am I missing something right now? Do you have 40 likes or something? You have 39 likes. Holy shit. You're really close to getting a 4th emotional support breaker before we even go to break. That would be wild.
Under evacuation warnings, and the thing that they've been telling us throughout the day, you know, all day yesterday, was that people needed to be ready because you just never know how quickly these flames could spread. We know that firefighters right now are trying to do everything they can to keep that fire line, to keep the wind from continuing to push the fire, and they've been using air resources. We saw a number of airdrops.
I always give you 1 like. I always give you a free like. I could not forget to do that. That wouldn't be fair. You deserve the like.
Yesterday, just over and over again, because we are near a lake, those resources were available, so that was great for those firefighters who were communicating with the crews on the ground, who were, you know, inside of all of this bush and this terrain, trying to cut some of it out with chainsaws and hand tools. It is 24/7 hour work, but
So one of the problems is that with winds is this high, what was I saying? The winds is high, the helicopters which they use to drop the chemical fire suppressants on these fires with, it can't fly. It's unsafe. It's just completely unsafe to fly a helicopter above a certain speed of winds, and that essentially meets the threshold, right? It's right on the edge of being just incredibly dangerous. So yeah, fires aren't just the only thing causing danger, it's also the winds that are adding to that danger, and also other related activities in this moment. So it's really not helping the containment of this fire, which is rapidly getting out of control. Let's just look at this video to kind of wrap up this particular fire before we move on to another fire in California.
Right now, firefighters are making some good progress on the post fire burning in LA and Ventura counties. It is holding at about 15,600 acres, and containment has now jumped to 20%. NBC4's Macy Jenkins joins us live from the command post in Castaic with more. Macy.
Hi, Kathy. Well, tonight, firefighters are focused on increasing that containment along the 5 corridor, but they have to keep up with the strong winds that are pushing the flames deeper into more remote areas.
A Saturday afternoon motorcycle ride for Gordon Grant and his wife was cut short by flames up ahead on Gorman Road.
We saw a little puff of smoke up there in Gorman ahead of us, quarter mile.
And when they turned under an overpass of the 5 freeway,
right there at the base of the off-ramp, there was about a 20-foot diameter circle of fire. And the wind was blowing about 50.
That's when he took this cell phone video roughly 15 minutes after LA County Fire Department says the fire began.
That's bigger than 50 feet.
What were you thinking?
That's way bigger than 50 feet.
I think I better move.
Yeah, no
Firefighters
shit.
quickly evacuated about 1,200 people celebrating a sunny Father's Day weekend at Hungry Valley State Park. By midnight Sunday, the fire had grown from 500 to 10,000 acres. And by Monday evening, it had jumped to more than 15,000 acres.
There's a lot of undergrowth and a lot of fuel that have accumulated in the last 2 years. LA County hasn't experienced a fire to this magnitude in the last 2 years.
More than 1,100 fire personnel from across the state have joined the coordinated firefight. Kanachi Haskett with LA County Fire says they're relieved the area is not very residential.
It's good in the sense that we don't have to evacuate homes and communities and families and displace them from their homes. That's a relief, and that's always something that we're cognizant of.
Aside from the wind.
And the fact is the planes aren't as effective. Or like they can't go as fast as the helicopters in terms of like picking up stuff, right? Because landing a plane and all that takes a lot longer than like a helicopter. And they also do all sorts of stuff. Like oftentimes these helicopters will just grab water out of people's pools. You can't do that in a plane. Can't do that unless you're Nope, no, I don't even think, I don't think you can do it. I'm no pilot, but I'm pretty sure. That's too precision of a move. What am I talking about? I pilot a space station. I'm well equipped to answer this question.
I don't want reality.
Okay, let's go on a little bit further south. From LA down to the Bay Area, where evacuation orders have been issued as a different fire called the Point Fire, which is in Sonoma County, has now surpassed over 1,000 acres.
Right now at 11, thousands of acres of California on fire tonight. We are tracking multiple active fires from northern to southern California. One of the most challenging firefights going on in the North Bay, where there's a...
Whoa. I think I need to look this up. I think something may have changed since I last checked. Or since I was making this, because they changed the title of this to something very alarming. Sorry, hold on. I have to go onto my phone and search this. Because it'll be easier for me to deal with it this way. Oh my god. Alright, here's the original title. Evacuation orders issued as Point Fire in Sonoma County passes 1,000 acres. New title. Evacuations ordered for Point Fire. Full stop. This is from NBC Bay Area. Okay, hold on. This sounds pretty serious. I'm I'm not seeing any developments, but I'm also trying to multitask right now. God damn you. Either way, it seems like they're trying to say something with the title. Maybe I'm reading into it a bit much, but
Recent and tragic history of devastating wildfires. The Point Fire in Sonoma County broke out just this afternoon, growing to more than 1,000 acres over the last few hours, standing at just 15% contained. CAL FIRE says structures have been destroyed and evacuation orders are in place. So are evacuation warnings. A spare the air alert now in effect for a growing part of the Bay Area. NBC Bay Area's Tom Jensen live in Healdsburg, where many are evacuating as strong winds push the flames towards more populated areas. Tom.
Terry, yeah, a lot of people evacuating to Healdsburg here, filling up some of the hotels. I just talked to a guy in the parking lot here, in the Safeway parking lot, who came up to us and was asking us if the fire was moving towards Healdsburg, where he lives, and he was concerned because of that history here in the North Bay with these fires moving into populated areas so fast in the night with the night winds. And you can't really see the winds right here where we are, but they're a lot heavier closer to where the fire is. And this fire did grow quickly. We started tracking just after 12:30, about 100 acres, then 500 acres, and now tonight more than 1,000 acres. And they're trying to stop this before
just in a few
it really
hours.
does burn out of control.
A little bit
once again here in the North Bay. Hundreds of firefighters from across the region are now attacking the Point Fire outside Healdsburg, some from the air and a lot more from the ground.
Hopefully, with all of our resources that we have right now, air and ground, hopefully we're able to contain this fire sooner rather than later.
Engine crews are working around houses in the evacuation zones and have saved hundreds of structures already. But the Point Fire claimed 2 homes and many more are still threatened.
Woof. California on fire. Literally. Now, here's the thing. We're on 39 likes, but my stream software is already glitching out because we're like 2.5 hours in and I haven't even taken a break. But because we're so close, don't tell anybody. But I'm going to give you a free support character. This is 7. Who is 7? Wow, haven't we got an archer already? Look at these 3 guys all right next to each other. Oh my god. I'm amused. I'm sorry, the dice is rigged. We got really close. Che Guevara was right next to the Pink Panther. I think the Pink Panther is 17. Apparently 17. There's no 17 on this dice. Nope. Oh, nope, there it is. Give you buddy Joshua on a raptor.
The operator of a horse riding ranch above Lake Sonoma called off planned rides today when the fire started just after 12:30 in the afternoon. She's hoping it continues to move away from her property.
As it stands, we're not in the evacuation.
Maybe I'll start using some different D20s. This one doesn't seem to be rolling any 17s or 20s. So nobody Jesus on raptors. No, we haven't seen a number of characters actually. But we've been going through them pretty quickly. However, Pink Panther staying on brand, hiding very effectively.
Zone because the fire's going the opposite direction, but if they do evacuate us, then we'll be ready to go.
Tonight, she's concerned about friends and neighbors in the dry.
Yeah, I would also be concerned about friends and neighbors. And myself. Oh, God. Yeah, bingo roller. I mean, the D20 is the way to go. It's too much. It's too much. Okay. Okay, now I forgot. I put this in the wrong order if I were to go north to south like I like to do. But we got to go back north because there is another wildfire. Yes, a third wildfire in California, which is threatening a part of Northern California, which is outside of Sacramento in Calaveras County. Oh, wait, actually...
Right now at 11, hundreds of firefighters on the front lines battling the point fire.
I forgot. We have more to look at with this point fire.
In the North Bay, that fire exploding to more than 1,000 acres in less than 24 hours. We're live as crews are working to save homes from those flames. And a good morning to you. Thanks for joining us for our midday newscast. I'm Marcus Washington. Well, let's talk about it. We have team coverage. Meteorologist Carrie Hall. She is tracking the weather for us. But first, we want to start with NBC Bay Area's Bob Riddell. He's over at the Cal Fire Sonoma Air Attack Base. This is where those fire crews are launching planes as well as helicopters. So, Bob, break down what's happening now.
Well, Marcus, this air attack began early this morning and it continues at this very hour. As you can see, another air tanker just behind this bush is going to pull up here to, we believe, reload with fire retardant and then take back off to the fire. But this gives you a sense of the urgency, the fact that they have this air attack starting early in this morning because they don't want this fire to grow any larger. This was the scene about an hour ago here again at the Sonoma Air Attack Base run by Cal Fire.
Yeah, hold on, we don't have to watch all these.
Just north of this.
And in fact, this one, the point fire, according to this video from 11 hours ago, is now up to 40% contained, which is, I suppose, better than 0, mathematically speaking.
Well, we just got an update on the point fire in Sonoma County. Officials saying that it is now 40% contained. Now, it has burned a little more than 1,200 acres.
Carrie Hall has been watching the conditions in the area and air quality as well, while our Ginger Conejero-Saab is live from Cal Fire Air Attack Base in Santa Rosa. The threat's certainly not over, Ginger.
No, it's not yet over. Fire crews will work until this fire, the point fire, is 100% contained. But we did receive some good news. I just spoke with a spokesperson of Cal Fire for Cal Fire minutes ago who says they made good progress. The fire is now 40% contained and remains at just over 1,200 acres. Favorable weather conditions overnight helped crews make progress on this fire. The winds were not as strong as they were the day the fire started, and there were lower temperatures and higher humidity levels, as I'm sure Carrie will go into more.
Yeah, we don't need Carrie to go into it more, but thankfully they're making progress on it. However, if conditions change, as we've talked about before, if it's not 100% contained, a fire can start right back up. And so, I do wish them, what's the phrase? Godspeed. To everybody working, give them VTOL, give the firefighters VTOLs. What do you want them to do? Want them to shoot the fire with space lasers? Although I do like the sentiment. Maybe it'll work. Now let's talk about the one in Calaveras County, which apparently one of our viewers can see outside their house. I can't see whose name that is. Oh, Donald James X. Oh my god. Galactic patron is in peril. Yeah, that's a lot of smoke.
he's at the structure right below the shop. He can be there shortly. So I'll get one engine in now.
Woof. That does not look very contained right now. And this is the only story I have on this particular fire. But what was that, number 3 or 4? 4. That was the 4th one already. That was fire number 4. I forgot we had that first one where those 2 structures were burnt down in that field. But we're not done with California. As we're going to stay in Northern California, I believe this is a different fire. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is somehow a separate fire, also in Northern California. So let's look at this one, which is already at 10,000 acres burning. When was this from? 6 hours ago? Number 5.
It's not just Sonoma County seeing that impact from the fire. This morning, firefighters scrambling to slow down those flames. Multiple spots across Northern California.
Yeah, Badass. No, I got what you meant about the VTOLs, but it was more fun for me to imagine it in sort of a Call of Duty way, like a, sort of like a Trumpian way where you blast the fire out of the sky. Or off of the earth. I don't know exactly how blasting a fire works, but that's what I was imagining.
That also includes Colusa County. Now, this is a time-lapse video of that fire that's burning northeast of Clear Lake. The Napa County Sheriff's Office actually warning that the heavy smoke is making a big push into Napa. And fire first started yesterday. It has burned 10,000 acres and is burning out of control right now.
Yeah, so yes, that's right. We were talking about the fires in North California, as well as Southern California, and sort of Central California, all the places. All 5 fires that were at least newsworthy, that I saw while doing research for this video today. That just took forever. Holy shit. And honestly, I don't think any of the numbers were over 40% contained, which is not great. Wait, no, the first one. The first one was more, I think. Wasn't it? I think it was. But that was not the post fire. Just the one sort of rogue fire that was in where was it again? Lancaster. Didn't even have a name. Okay. You know what? I think I need to take a break because it's like 2.5 hours in. We got more to talk about though with the environment, so sorry, Chad, didn't mean to debate you with the Canadian story. It's coming later. Yeah, so yeah. Let's start in essentially the very northwest. If you discount Alaska, pretty much the very furthest northwest you can get in this country. Where in somewhere in Washington, I don't know exactly where this is, but there is a fire burning called the Pioneer Fire, which is in a very difficult to access location, so it is causing some difficulty for firefighters to get to it and put it out. So it is currently burning pretty much unabated, and well, this is just one of many fires that are currently burning the West Coast.
Well, developing overnight.
No, this is the wrong one. There we go. Fixed it.
Pioneer fire near the north shore of Lake Chelan is burning in such a remote area. Fire officials now say it may be burning until Halloween. It is still 0% contained. These are new photos of the fire, which has now burned more than 3,800 acres. There is work underway right now to recommission old roads near the fire to get more crews on the ground. With challenges on the terrain, firefighters have been forced to attack the fire by boat and air. Crews are dropping more than 100,000 gallons of water on that fire a day. The cause of the fire is still under investigation.
Hold on. Just realized we have 30 likes. So what's that? A 19. Who's 19? Wharf. Very nice. I'll take that. Oh no, my stream software is freezing. We're only 2 hours into this. Come on, Streamlabs. Be better than this. Be better. Well, Wharf will pop up once my stream software decides to stop being frozen. It's in Eastern Washington. Thank you for the information. Now, let's go slightly south to Northern California. We talked about this fire, which is in Calaveras County outside of Sacramento. This fire has really picked up and has burned over 5,000 acres now, and is still not close to being fully contained yet, at least from what I understand. This is from about this time yesterday.
Fox 40 is on fire watch tonight. A number of wildfires burning across California this evening, especially here in Northern California. Crews in Sacramento, Calaveras, Colusa, and Sonoma counties are working around the clock to tackle several fires. This all comes as Northern California's first red flag warning of 2024 saw perfect conditions for flames to be sparked. Thanks for joining us tonight for Fox 40 News at 10. I'm Nikki Lorenzo.
And I'm Eric Harriman. Fox 40 has team coverage for you tonight at 10. Dennis Shanahan reporting from Sacramento County, where fire crews have been working all day, tackling several grass fires in our area. Also, Chief Meteorologist Adam Epstein tracking these very fiery and warm conditions from here in the studio in the Weather Center. We'll check in with Adam in just a minute with more on what we can expect, Adam, with this red flag warning as well. But first, let's get you out live to Fox 40's Rowena Shaddix, who is in Calaveras County here at 10 o'clock. We know the Arrow Fire is what it's being called, Row, and it has jumped to more than 5,000 hours. That number just within the last hour or so.
What? You mean acres?
Well, Nikki and Eric, yes, 5,000 acres. That is a lot that has burned in just a little bit of time. We are on Highway 4, which is actually closed to the general public. There's a lot of firefighters that are using this roadway. And behind me, you can see that firefighters are putting out spot fires. That's what they have to contend with. This is an area that has already burned up, but those fire flames just keep shooting back up. The winds are a big contributor and something that firefighters are going to be dealing with throughout the night. CAL FIRE attacked the fire quickly, battling flames from the ground and in the air with multiple aircraft. Joyce and Rob Vonderleith's ranch in Salt Springs Valley is directly across from where the fire initially started just before 3:30 p.m. Not our first road.
Okay. More to look at with this.
That containment has been 23%. It will not be changed throughout the night. At least the numbers won't until tomorrow morning. All good news. And this area that we're standing in, it's literally just off of Highway 4, which continues to be closed to the public. This is an area that has been very busy since this fire began. It overlooks a canyon here. We haven't seen a lot happening this afternoon. There were water drops consistently, but there is a unit behind me that is keeping a watchful eye. It's It's a scene played out countless times since the Arrow fire broke out Monday afternoon. Helicopters and Chinooks dropping water on hotspots and active areas where the fire had passed.
Yeah, so this thing's been going for nearly 3 full days now. It's only 23% contained according to them, but this is from 20 hours ago. So it may be in better containment now. That's just me being hopeful for the people of Calaveras County and the others that are being affected by this fire. So I can't say that that's definite in any way, but there's a bunch more. Just knocked my vape off the table. That's good. Good job, me. What was I saying? Oh yeah, there's a bunch more fires currently happening in the United States. Let's just go slightly south in California, down here, where the post fires, which we were talking about yesterday, and another fire are all still burning. Go to this next one.
It's very hard waiting. You know, it's very scary. We didn't sleep at all last night.
Well, this morning, residents living near the Arrow fire in Calaveras County waiting to get back home once again. And evacuation orders continue as the weather conditions shift. Welcome back to ABC 10 Morning News. I'm Jordan Tolbert.
I'm Conchetta Callahan. The firefight across our state has made significant progress, but the danger isn't over. Take a look.
So currently, firefighters are battling the post fire in Southern California along I-5, which has burned over 15,000 acres. It's now...
Wow, this is a disturbing infographic. You add these up, it's 35,000 plus acres that have already burned. They've been burning for over the last 3 days. And by the way that they do these things, I think that means that, you know, nearly that much is also still burning or close to it. And the maximum containment is 31%, and with the minimum being 5, which might as well be 0, I'm not gonna lie. It's a galactic tradition to knock my vape off the dead. So true. That is very true. No truer thing has been said this stream.
Arguably the greatest work of nonfiction of the 20th
39%
century.
contained, and the Sites fire in Colusa County is also over 15,000 acres, but with 5% containment. Meanwhile, progress has been made against the Arrow fire. It's now 33% contained with over 5,000 acres burned, but the danger is not over.
We've made significant progress on stopping the spread of the fire, but the conditions are still dynamic out there. This fire is still burning out of control.
Well, CAL FIRE wants to reiterate that it is important that people continue to obey evacuation orders.
Yeah. Yeah, stay safe. Oh, God. I feel hot just watching these. Okay, let's just look at this. This is the Point Fire, which we were also talking about yesterday. This one's outside of San Francisco, and it is now 50% contained. So there's been some actual progress on this one. I think it was only 30% contained when we were looking at this yesterday. So that's definitely good progress. I'll take it.
Are fanning the flames of wildfires in Sonoma County and other parts of the state. People have been forced out of their homes, and firefighters worry conditions are not improving. Evacuation orders remain in effect as firefighters try to get a grasp on the Point Fire burning north of Healdsburg. Good evening. I'm Greg Lee.
And I'm Julie Hayner. The latest update from CAL FIRE shows the fire now is 20% contained. It's burned just under 1,200 acres since it started yesterday. More than 400 personnel are on the scene along with 4 helicopters. CAL FIRE says air tankers from across the state are also flying missions.
Oh, I forgot. This is the older video. This is the more recent video. That says 20% contained. Sorry. This is the newer one.
Story that we're still following the wildfires, and crews are making progress on the Point Fire burning near Lake Sonoma. It's 50% contained at this hour. It started Sunday, and in 24 hours, it spread to 1,200 acres and destroyed 2 homes. 1 firefighter was injured, but will be okay. We'll continue to follow that.
Well, an air quality advisory now in effect because of the poor air quality conditions from these wildfires. Officials say you might smell smoke up in Sonoma, Napa, Solano counties, Lake County, things like that. Closer to the heart of the bay, we're doing okay. The sea breeze is keeping it clear, but obviously the closer you are to those fires, the worse the air quality is going to be for you.
Yeah, I've actually seen a story on that, Annie, regarding prisoners fighting fires. I have heard of an innovative program where they're allowing firefighters to drastically reduce their sentences by fighting fires. But yeah, I think they're almost always unpaid. I mean, not all the firefighters are, in fact, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, that exists, but then there's also the regular firefighters, so there's a kind of a mixed bag of people out there fighting these fires. Now, granted, they've all been trained, but it is sort of an interesting dynamic when you think about the fact that there are prisoners out there doing these things. Thought I was about to say the pores. I was not going to say that. Okay, now there was another fire south of the Point Fire, not in California, but in Phoenix. We saw a different one in Phoenix yesterday, which was a mulch fire. This was a brush fire, and just somebody's like yard, it appeared. Oh, there we go. We got Wharf now. And so they do eventually put this out. As you'll see here, it's like a 30-minute drone video or something, or like a helicopter. But yeah, thankfully, eventually this fire was put out. But this is just, just one in many examples of fires that just seemingly broke out in the west of the United States here. Now, I predicted this yesterday, but because of the fact is we only saw the interviews of this yesterday because they had no camera crews on location at the time. But we're gonna go slightly east to New Mexico, where we're gonna look at this wildfire that we were talking about yesterday. Outside of not outside of in Ruidoso, New Mexico. As you'll see here shortly, this one's rough.
And there's another fire over here as well. There's 2 ongoing fires right now.
A rapidly growing wildfire has forced the evacuation of a town in New Mexico. That's Ruidoso. Please do not try to gather belongings or protect your home. Go now. Authorities posted on Facebook. That is a concerning message from authorities. Makes you, as a person who doesn't use Facebook very often, it makes me wonder if I'm underutilizing it. The South Fork fire was first detected on Monday morning west of Ruidoso. It has since grown to over 2,000 hectares, officials say. Now, hold on, we have a bunch more to look at this. as this isn't just in the surrounding forest. The evacuation was because this was going directly at this town. And as you'll see here shortly, I think thousands of structures have now been lost, essentially. Essentially wiping out the whole town, like, off the map. But first, we just got a bunch of videos to look at, so let's just go to this next one. Also, there's also like an interview with this fucking guy. Oh, God.
Continuing to follow evacuations involving 2 wildfires almost next to each other, the South Fork and Salt Fire. These images showing us just how dangerous the flames are as residents head for shelter. We've been following this all afternoon. We have a crew in the area right now. However, cell phone coverage is so bad we can't get a hold of them.
And viewers have been sending us pictures and video of what's going on there. In these images, you can see the flames and the excessive smoke covering the village and all areas around it. The fire triggering a series of evacuations. We spoke with one family as they were preparing to leave their home behind.
And this is very scary right now. You know, we just, it's just there's too many of these that are happening too often now. But yeah, I just feel that hopefully everything will work out. They'll get it under control. They'll get it out. And with hopefully certainly no loss of life. And if we can hope for it, no loss of property as well.
So, unfortunately, that's not the case, or that's not what winds up happening in the situation. Let's keep moving forward chronologically through this. This is rough. This is one of the older videos.
We were at the church for a little while, and then when we're heading home, we noticed the smoke was behind our house area, and you could smell it, see it.
You could see the tankers
coming over. Tankers flying over, helicopters, everything.
The reason for the update is to alert people that these are very serious fires. Traveling in and around that southeastern part of the state is not only not allowable right now with road closures, but it's discouraged even where roads are open. Second reason is to let you know that 20,000 plus acres, 0% containment.
This fire is dangerous
0%.
and fast moving. The winds are strong. They're not quite at the red flag level, but they are close. And the fire.
All right, we're going to keep pushing through this. That one was also from a day ago, but things have progressed with this. This is from 15 hours ago now. This was an interview on CNN with the man who had to flee with his family. According to him, quote unquote, we didn't get a warning.
The wildfires in New Mexico. Look at these pictures, incredible pictures, and has turned deadly and has taken thousands of homes and businesses. With me now is Eric Morrow, who lives in Ruidoso, New Mexico. You experienced this and had to.
So yeah, I mean, we heard that man speaking at the beginning, hoping for no loss of property. Well, thousands of homes and buildings burnt down in what is a pretty small town. So that represents most of what is there.
Evacuate. Can you give us some sense of how you heard about it and then what you did immediately upon hearing that the fire was too close for comfort?
Well, I was on my app the whole time, the watch through the app, really paying attention to, how close it was getting and stuff, because it started not too far from where we're at. And when I was getting home from work, I had already seen the smoke. I started panicking, went straight to my house. And we were there, it was already smoky and stuff, so we kind of started getting things together. I looked at the wind direction and stuff and where the fire was at, and I said, it's coming straight towards us, and so we should we were a little concerned. We started kind of packing things up. And I was paying attention to the phone, the duty app, and we didn't get a warning. You know, all of a sudden, the firefighter showed up blaring their horn, sound immediate evacuate immediately. And so we just grabbed whatever we had at that moment, packed and stuff, and we left, you know.
It's such a terrifying
The roads were
thing.
already shut off.
Yeah. How did you? Yeah. I always wonder this, having covered these fires across the West, mostly in California. What do you pack? What are you thinking about? What are you trying to potentially save, knowing that you are breathing in the smoke already? It's coming.
Yeah, I mean, I was gagging already from the smoke, and we grabbed the most important things like documents, passports, birth certificates, some photos.
Oh my fucking God. That is terrifying.
Things like documents, passports, birth certificates, some photos, photo album that my mother left me, stuff like that. Left behind my class ring, a favorite T-shirt that I've had for over 25 years. You know, some stuff like that kind of got left behind. But we just try to take important documents, and I got this shirt donated to me by the church.
This guy had to leave everything in his life behind, aside from a photo book and passports. Him and his family, and apparently they just moved into the house in March. They just bought the house. It's frustrating story. We're not done because we gotta look at some of the rest of this, some of this footage from later. Yeah. Let's go to this one. Okay, here we go.
It's a little emotional. Yeah, but other than that, you know, we're alive, we're okay.
The wildfires surrounding the Ruidoso area have now claimed one person's life. The governor's office confirming the tragic news yesterday afternoon.
Well, this as both the South Fork and Salt fires continue to scorch through neighborhoods. Nearly 1,400 homes and businesses have been damaged or destroyed due to the fire, and about 8,000 people have been evacuated from the area. Both fires combined have now burned well over 23,000 acres as of this morning, with still 0% containment.
Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham issued an executive order declaring a state of emergency in Lincoln County and the Mescalero Apache Reservation. The order will free up additional funding and resources to help fight the blaze.
Well, the governor has deployed the National Guard to the area to help wherever needed, and additional New Mexico State Police are being dispatched.
Have two devastating, enormous fires. And when I say enormous, it means that they're getting more and more complicated to address. Every resource available while we combat these fires is available. More than 17 agencies are on the ground working together, both federal and state.
And this is a live look outside of Ruidoso Village this morning, where, as we've mentioned, thousands were forced to leave everything behind.
KTSM spent time with people who escaped the fires and are now waiting for word on if their homes and businesses survived the flames. Our investigative director, Andrew Litton.
So we just looked at, it said there's 35,000 acres burning in California, and there's 23,000 acres burning in New Mexico.
Us their story and how the community of Roswell is helping them out.
The community of Roswell coming together to help their neighbors.
From dog food to toiletries, diapers, clothes, and food. Bringing things that they feel that the people from Ruidoso are needing.
Wildfires forcing so many out of their homes, made to escape down the mountain to Roswell, where half a dozen shelters open to welcome Ruidoso evacuees.
We have 200 or so empty cots ready to go, plenty of food, volunteers, staff, so we're set.
Roswell residents saying people aren't the only ones needing shelter. Animals, too, being towed to safety, and they all come with unique challenges.
Yeah,
some
no
people
kidding.
don't know where you take your animals. We had somebody that was staying outside of the university, and they were staying in the car because they didn't know that we had a place to take animals and dogs and cats.
While Roswell comes...
Hello, Morbius. Good to see you. It's lagging on this screen, but it's not lagging over there. Weird. Okay. Well, as long as it looks fine on the stream. Oh, God. Alright, this is the last story about this fire. For now.
And good evening, New Mexico. It's like living in one of those end-of-the-world movies, or the village is a ghost town. That's just two of the things we are hearing tonight about one of the most beautiful places in the entire state. That would be Ruidoso. Two massive wildfires are still burning there tonight. Thousands of people have had to simply leave the village and surrounding areas. We've also confirmed that one person has died. Those two fires are still burning out of control. Now, we want to give the people who live in the metro a little bit of perspective on just how big the fires are. When you add the acreage of both the South Fork and Salt fires, we're talking, as the governor mentioned, about more than 20,000 combined acres. That's approximately 32.5 square miles. That red box on the screen now shows just how much of Albuquerque these two fires combined would cover. You could say that.
Wow. I didn't realize how close it is to... Actually, no, I guess they're talking about a different spot, aren't they? I don't know the area well enough. I think it must be Albuquerque News, so they're just using it as a representation.
Pretty decent majority of the Northeast Heights. Tonight we're bringing you complete team coverage of those wildfires, starting off with our very own Griffin Rushton. He joins us live from ENMU Roswell, which is just one of the many evacuation centers that is welcoming Ruidoso residents again tonight. Griffin.
Yeah, that's right, Trevor, and it is busy. There are at least 120 evacuees here tonight, and many, many more will be spending the night at nearly a dozen other evacuation shelters across southeast New Mexico. Now, that's more than we typically see during these wildfire events, but this is not a typical crisis. There are two wildfires essentially surrounding Ruidoso tonight. The South Fork fire on the north side and the Salt fire on the south side. Together, as we mentioned, they've scorched nearly 21,000.
Oh, this makes it so that practically any wind the direction blows. You got a problem. Oh my God. This is even worse than I thought. I didn't see this map earlier.
Acres so far, which is a relatively small size compared to New Mexico's recent historic wildfires, but these have been incredibly destructive wildfires. According to the most recent update, fire officials estimate these fires have destroyed at least 1,400 homes or other structures, and you can see some of that damage in this video we took driving down Gavilan Canyon Road earlier this afternoon. Now, that number is almost certainly going to go up in the coming days as crews start to thoroughly assess the damage. Now, as we mentioned, we saw some of that damage firsthand today, and I can tell you it is startling to see just how much is gone in just the first 24 hours since the village was evacuated. The embers are still hot in Ruidoso. Valleys of scorched trees dotted with sizzling homes, all while fire crews continue their battle on the ground and from the sky. This is what's left of what appears to have been a motel here in Ruidoso, less than 24 hours after the village was evacuated. You can see this building is just now a pile of rubble, and you can see there's even smoke still coming up out of the damage. Now, this fire moved incredibly fast, and you can see that in this parking lot. There are several cars that are just molten really into the parking lot as the fire came through, and you can see just how hot it was burning with this evidence right here of what was at one point liquid metal coming out of this car.
Yeah. This is a really unfortunate story, and it doesn't appear that it's going to doesn't appear like we've seen the end of it. I feel like we're going to be talking about this for a number of days. Okay. I'm going to move on. I really hope those people are managing to stay safe. Gotta do something about those fires. It's like a fire bread sandwich. And it's not a good situation. I didn't even realize there was a second town on the other side of that highway. Oh, God. Okay, you forgot to like. My God, you've been here so long. We're almost at 40 likes. That's wild. Is there a cat? Is there a cat on the space station? Okay, now let's go to the Midwest. Now, this fire is not necessarily related to climate change, but I figured since we were talking about the United States on fire, we would just look at this, where Chicago firefighters are fighting a massive blaze at a building supply shop. Good God. Holy fuck. Place is just filled with fuel. It's a building supply shop. There's just probably like just filled with wood. Other sorts of flammable shit. Yeesh. Okay. Don't think all that burning's great for the environment. Speaking of the environment, everybody else who isn't currently staring at fires is dealing with a different kind of heat, as a extreme heat wave has been going through both the central and northeastern United States, where it is setting records in multiple states.
U.S. cities are breaking decades-old temperature records this week as a heat wave stretches from central to eastern parts of the country. That's according to the National Weather Service on Tuesday, in what officials are warning could become a deadly weather event. Roughly 80 million people from Indiana to New England are under a heat advisory or excessive heat warning.
This is going to be one for the ages.
New York Governor Kathy Hochul activated the state's Emergency Operations Center in response to high temperatures expected to last until the weekend. She announced on Tuesday that the state's beaches and public pools will open early, in time for people to enjoy them over Wednesday's Juneteenth holiday. High temperatures can cause dehydration, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke, and worsen pre-existing conditions like cardiovascular problems. Chicago registered 97 degrees Fahrenheit at its O'Hare International Airport on Monday, breaking a record set in 1957.
Wow. So yeah, breaking nearly 100-year-old temperature records. Just all over the place in the United States. Not great. You heard that it snowed in Montana? I did not, but that sort of fits with the insanely strange weather we've been having lately. Let's move on to this. Talking about how the heat wave in Canada may last until Sunday in some parts of Canada.
Well, Environment Canada has just issued an update on the heat wave impacting millions of Canadians, and CBC's Sarah Galashan is monitoring that from our breaking news desk and joins us with the details. So, Sarah, what did officials have to say?
Jacqueline, they talked a lot about this slow-moving ridge of high pressure that is responsible for the heat that central Canada and into Atlantic Canada are experiencing right now. Not only is it very hot, you're talking about the temperatures, but also there's the humidity on top of that, and it's creating a very muggy feeling. Very difficult to get relief from that, they're saying, and this will be a known experience for anyone who's going through it, but difficult to get relief because in the evening, because this is this heat event, the temperatures are not dipping by more than about 4 to 5 degrees. So there's not a lot of relief happening at night. Let's talk about exactly who this is affecting. We're seeing heat warnings and alerts throughout central Canada, Ontario, Quebec, into the Atlantic provinces as well. The map showing a lot of red there when you look at it. So for all of those people, obviously, any information you might be able to get about how much longer this is going to last, that's what everyone is sort of on the edge of their seats waiting for. They did talk about that, so let's play that clip.
Good news, though, the above normal temperatures are expected to ease on Friday, with the exception of extreme southern Ontario, where the above normal heat and humidity will linger until late Sunday. But until
So yeah, it's hot. And not just in the United States, borders don't dictate weather. Canada is also getting hit by the heat. Now, let's continue on to the BBC here, where according to them, 1 in 5 people in the United States will be facing extreme heat alerts all week.
Extreme weather is affecting different parts of the globe. But in the US in particular, more than 70 million people, that's 1 in 5 Americans, are under heat alerts this week. Extreme temperatures reaching as high as 105 degrees Fahrenheit in some areas. Forecasters are warning that the early summer heat wave could be the longest in decades. An approaching heat dome threatens to bring record-setting temperatures across the Midwest and Northeast for up to a week. Meanwhile, in California, wildfires near Los Angeles continue to burn out of control as firefighters struggle to contain the flames. And in the state of New Mexico, wildfires have been burning through 20,000 acres, impacting at least 500 structures and forcing thousands to evacuate. Let's speak to Yasmin Ansari.
Is it lagging for people? It's looking weird on my screen. I can't tell if it's lagging for you people or not.
Yes.
Whoops.
There's a former Vice Mayor of Phoenix, Arizona, and the former UN Climate Advisor. Hello, welcome to the programme. Arizona, of course, well-known desert area. I wonder if we could first start off with a heat dome. What do we mean by that?
The heat dome discusses what is happening in the atmosphere, whereas the impact on the ground is talking about a heat wave. As you mentioned, right now in the United States, we are seeing heat emergencies being declared across the United States, in particular in the Northeast, as the heat index is hitting triple digits. Here in Arizona, we are very much used to extreme heat, but in many of these places in the United States where there's also the humidity aspect, many are feeling very challenging times. And so we're seeing leaders begin to declare those emergencies and acting as such.
So one.
Yeah. Okay. I think we get it.
So hot right now.
It is lagging for you? See, that's weird. I don't know why it's doing that. I might have to address some settings. Not today, but I guess tomorrow. If we'll even be around tomorrow, who knows? Might get blasted out of this spaceship. Okay. Now, we were talking about this and the potential for an actual tropical storm to form in the Gulf of Mexico as well as on the coast of Florida. Well, the one in the Gulf has in fact turned into a tropical storm. It is not yet, did not become a hurricane, so it probably will not, as it has now made landfall in Texas. This is from 8 hours ago. Fires mostly in California, but just really along the west coast broke out even worse than they were earlier. Granted, fire season is now officially underway, but doesn't end for months. Now this fire came out of kind of nowhere. This is in Yakima County, which is in Washington, and it has now, a wildfire has broken out in the county, prompting level 3 evacuations. Hold on, let's just go to this, there we go.
We started forward with breaking news out of Yakima, where a wildfire is forcing mandatory evacuations. You see here in this viewer video just how close the fire is burning to an apartment complex. Right now, power is shut off in parts of the city as crews work to get the fire under control.
Take a look. This is the area under level 3 evacuations right now. The fire is burning on the east side of the Yakima River near Yakima Sportsman State Park. Multiple
Gun Club Road. Okay, I gotta say something. I've been complaining a lot about this feature, which has been causing me difficulty at different times. But I gotta say, now that I'm starting to utilize it, I actually like it. I like being able to highlight random shit on the screen. I don't know exactly how they're figuring that out, but it's kind of handy.
Side of the Yakima River near Yakima Sportsman State Park. Multiple videos show helicopters and airplanes dropping water on the fire. Right now, it's unclear how many people are under evacuation orders or if any structures have burned. An emergency evacuation center just opened at the Terrace Heights Elementary School.
So yeah, people are being evacuated out of the area as it's under threat. As you can see, that fucking fire is right next to that entire apartment complex, and you would assume a bunch of other structures. It's just where they happen to have the camera. Now let's talk about those California wildfires, which we were talking about earlier this week. As they are not yet out. They have been contained slightly more than they were previously. Ooh, nice Vergonia flags on the Twitch. Human rights. Wonder who made those flags. So good looking. Alright, let's start with this one just to kind of update us, remind us of what's been going on.
It's very hard waiting. You know, it's very scary. We didn't sleep at all last night.
Well, this morning, residents living near the Arrow Fire in Calaveras County waiting to get back home once again. And evacuation orders continue as the weather conditions shift. Welcome back to ABC 10 Morning News. I'm Jordan Tolbert.
I'm Conchetta Callahan. The firefight across our state has made significant progress, but the danger isn't over. Take a look.
So currently, firefighters are battling the Post Fire in Southern California along I-5, which has burned over 15,000 acres. It's now 39%.
So yeah, at this time, a couple days ago, there were these 3 fires that were all burning. Actually, there were 4 fires. There was the Post Fire, Sites Fire, Arrow Fire, and the Point Fire. They didn't even list it in this one. But there was like at least 40,000 plus acres all burning at the same time with little containment. The situation has slightly improved, as I said. Let's go to this. This is about the Point Fire specifically, where it was, at least 2 days ago, about 50% contained.
Story that we're still following the wildfires, and crews are making progress on the Point Fire burning near Lake Sonoma. It's 50% contained at this hour. It started Sunday, and in 24 hours, it spread to 1,200 acres and destroyed 2 homes. One firefighter was injured, but will be okay. We'll continue to follow that.
Well, an air quality advisory now in effect because of the poor air quality conditions from these wildfires. Officials say you might smell smoke up in Sonoma, Napa, Solano counties, Lake County, things like that. Closer to the heart of the bay, we're doing okay. The sea breeze is keeping it clear, but obviously the closer you are to those fires, the worse the air quality is going to be.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, air quality is going to be a problem this year, I think. Considering how many fires we've already been seeing going, and it's only third week in June now, I guess. Wait, how does that work? No. 4th week, technically, now? Nearly the 4th. We're not there yet. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. The Yakima fire was contained? That's good. That is good. That's breaking news from O&O. I don't think that that was only from 2 hours ago, that story we just watched. So if you've somehow got breaking news for us, well, I appreciate it. Okay. Well, let's go to this. This is from 12 hours ago, ABC 10, where they kind of clue us in on the current state of these fires in California.
That is our top story this morning, as hotter temperatures are just around the corner. Welcome back. I'm Jordan Tolbert, and Conchetta, the increased heat means increased fire danger.
Oh, it certainly does. I'm Conchetta Callahan. Keep in mind, this week we've seen our busiest fire activity so far. We began last Saturday battling the Junes and Rocky fires in Butte County. Soon after, the Excelsior fire in Sacramento County put communities near Mather Airport in danger.
How do we miss all of
Post fire
those?
in Southern California and the Point fire in Sonoma County both erupted around this time. As the work week began, the Sites fire burned several thousand acres in Colusa County. Meanwhile, the town of Copperopolis was put in danger by the Arrow fire, which forced evacuations and caused outages.
It's quite a name.
And as we end this week, there's progress on our state's firefighters have made on some of these fires. So take a look at this. These are the 3 fires that are currently the biggest ones burning across California. The Post fire in Southern California burning over 15,000 acres with 52% containment. The Sites fire in Colusa County, only 20% contained with over 19,000 acres burned so far. Meanwhile, east of Stockton, the Arrow fire now more than halfway contained with a little over 5,000 acres burned.
So, I mean, this is definitely good in terms of the containment has improved. That Sites fire is real concerning, though. It started off a lot smaller, and now it's at 20,000 acres burned at 20% contained. That's definitely the most concerning of all these fires at this moment. That's for sure. But this is all... It's all good, though, right? I mean, in terms of, actual progress in this situation. I was concerned that it was going to get worse, but thankfully there was some amount of increased humidity, which did aid with the containment of these fires. But the rest of this weekend is supposed to be really hot, so it could undo some of what has been done by firefighters.
Donna, thank you. Hot today, and as we've been telling you, it's going to be hotter this week. And these folks in Griffith Park hit the trails early before the peak of the heat moved on in.
And dangerous night temperatures expected to hit our inland empire this weekend, and fire officials are warning everyone to stay safe. NBC4's Christian Cazares is live in Paris with what you need to know. Christian.
That's right. There are several things that we can do right now to stay safe during the summer months. Today we spoke to Cal Fire, who says staying hydrated, staying in the shade, and also limiting your time outdoors are all some great tips to avoid a trip to the hospital. In a moment's notice, firefighters from Cal Fire Station in Paris can roll out to any emergency. The summer season, they say, is their peak because of wildfires and heat-related calls.
I think we average out about 500 incidents a day, and that's just with the Riverside County. And I want to specify that that's just medical, I believe.
On Friday afternoon, those medical calls coming in within minutes from each other as the temperature held steady in the 90s.
And you could only imagine what the firefighters are wearing. It's way thicker. They have the big boots. They have all these layers on to protect them. And then if they're going into a structure or they need their oxygen tanks, that's also weight that you're putting on top of them.
Fire.
Yeah. It's a tough job. Okay. So yeah, it's going to continue to get hotter in Southern California with I believe there's going to be triple-digit heat in some areas of California over the weekend here. But let's look at this, because the situation is just fucking tragic. And I think many of you already may be aware of this. I think because we looked at this earlier this week, but maybe some missed it. But an emergency was declared in New Mexico because a massive wildfire broke out in a place called Ruidoso. 2 different fires, actually, on both sides of the town. And burned at least 1,400 structures so far.
And good evening, New Mexico. It's like living in one of those end-of-the-world movies, or the village is a ghost town. That's just 2 of the things we are hearing tonight about one of the most beautiful places in the entire state. That would be Ruidoso. 2 massive wildfires are still burning there tonight. Thousands of people have had to simply leave the village and surrounding areas. We've also confirmed that 1 person has died. Those 2 fires are still burning out of control. Now, we want to give the people who live in the metro a little bit of perspective on just how big the fires are. When you add the acreage of both the South Fork and Salt fires, we're talking, as the governor mentioned, about more than 20,000 combined acres. That's approximately 32.5 square miles. That red box on the screen now shows just how much of Albuquerque these 2 fires combined would cover. You could say that's a pretty decent majority of the Northeast Heights. Tonight we're bringing you complete team coverage of those wildfires, starting off with our very own Griffin Rushton. He joins us live from ENMU Roswell, which is just one of the many evacuation centers that is welcoming Ruidoso residents again tonight. Griffin.
Yeah, that's right, Trevor, and it is busy. There are at least 120 evacuees here tonight, and many, many more will be spending the night at...
You're at 30 likes? Okay, hold on. What is that? A 3. 3. Where's 3? Captain Planet. Okay, we haven't seen Captain Planet for a little bit, I don't think.
A dozen other evacuation shelters across southeast New Mexico. Now, that's more than we typically see during these wildfire events, but this is not a typical crisis. There are 2 wildfires essentially surrounding Ruidoso tonight. The South Fork fire on the north side and the Salt fire on the south side. Together, as we mentioned, they've scorched nearly 21,000 acres so far, which is a relatively small size compared to New Mexico's recent historic wildfires. But these these have been incredibly destructive wildfires. According to the most recent update, fire officials estimate these fires have destroyed at least 1,400 homes or other structures. And
okay, now there's more to look at with all this. This is kind of a long video. We'll just watch this last part of it here.
For family members tonight.
Today, we have two devastating, enormous fires. And when I say enormous, it means that they're getting more and more complicated to address.
It's too early to tell just how far that devastation goes, but our crews got a good look at some of it today. More than 24 hours after the South Fork and Salt fires sparked near Ruidoso, and community members are waiting to learn what the future holds. Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham says so far one person has died in the wildfires. She also says people are calling fire hotlines looking for family members, although she doesn't know how many people are missing.
I don't.
Oh, God. At least one person's confirmed dead. But with that many calls going into a hotline looking for family members, some portion of those are probably going to be people who have passed away from these. Really, honestly, like these fires happened really fast. We listened to accounts from people earlier. Specifically, I remember one man on I think CNN was saying that they had exactly 0 forewarning and we're just told, leave. You have to leave now or you're going to die. And so they in fact left with practically none of their belongings, knowing that they could everything they leave behind could just be completely destroyed by this fire. Can you please have another support character? You may absolutely have another support character. 15. 15. Who's 15? Is that Pink Panther? I think that might be Pink Panther. I can't remember. Alright, we looked at this earlier, but I just want to look at this again. This is still ongoing, from what I understand, to some degree. This is from a couple of days ago, CBC News, where a fire jumped a river in Churchill Falls. Wait, what is NL? I always forget what NL stands for. It's not New Brunswick. New Labrador?
We are tracking breaking news on the dangerous wildfires burning near Churchill Falls in Labrador. Officials are now evacuating people still in the town after news broke just last hour that one of the fires has jumped the river. That was serving as part of a fire break to keep the town safe. CBC's Peter Cowan is in St. John's with the latest. So, Peter, what does this development mean here, that this fire has jumped the river?
Yeah, this river has really acted as a natural fire break to protect the town of Churchill Falls from this fire that's 1,500 hectares in size. And unfortunately, Mother Nature was not cooperating today. High temperatures into the high 20s, along with low humidity and some winds that are blowing today from the southwest. And so that's fueling the fire, and it actually pushed some of those flames over the river onto the community of Churchill Falls. And because that fire has crossed the river, that's why they are now removing about 100 or so people that were still in the town in order to keep the hydroelectric plant that is there up and running. This is a very important plant, and they just kept sort of a minimal number of people. But now that the fire has crossed the river, they've decided to pull even those essential workers out. And the
Yeah. Okay. So that fire, from my understanding, is still ongoing. Not yet contained. June is Men's Mental Health Care Awareness Month. That is true. That is true. And we actually discussed men's mental health on Father's Day. I got them all together in on one day. And Maybe we don't talk about it quite enough, but I think we did a decent job on Father's Day. But you're right. We've also been talking about Pride Month. We've been talking about literally everything. It is almost July too. You're right. It's got like 2 more days left. What was I doing? Oh, right. Moving on to this story, which was relevant to the last story, as this is, according to researchers, Canada's 2023 wildfire season spewed out far more far more heat-trapping gas than all the planes on Earth.
We estimated that the forest fires in Canada released about 2.98.
Hold on. I almost forgot. And I'm trying to do this at least a couple of times a stream. And I can't keep forgetting to do this. It's unacceptable. Where is it? Ah, yes, here it is. Okay. Oh, Princess Mononoke. Redeemed hydrate. Didn't even see it. Well, speaking of hydrating, on Twitch, all of you viewers are about to be hit with an ad break, courtesy of this man behind me, Jeffy Bezos. Now, I get a sense that many of you may not be a fan of Mr. Jeffy Bezos, and if you'd like to stick it to him, well, you got one good option. If you're already a Amazon Prime subscriber, you get a free Twitch Prime sub every single goddamn month, which you could give to your favorite streamer. You can take that money from Jeff Bezos, which he makes absolutely nothing on, and you give it to me. That's right. It's a much better option than just giving Twitch money to avoid ads. You can just take it from Jeff Bezos. It's a great plan. Otherwise, you're about to get hit with an ad. Okay, back to this. Discussing the carbon footprint of 2023's fire season. Whoopsies. What's going on? There we go.
We estimated that the forest fires in Canada released about 2.98 billion tons of carbon dioxide, which is about 4 times as much carbon as global aviation sector, and about 25% higher than the emissions from all primary tropical tree cover loss in 2023. Forests worldwide are known as carbon sinks, so they remove a lot of carbon from the atmosphere, and that gets stored in their branches, their trunks, their leaves, kind of in the ground as well. And so when they burn, all the carbon that's stored within them gets released back into the atmosphere. And so that's kind of that connection between forest fires and carbon emissions. If you compare it to like fossil fuel emissions from countries, for example, I think it was on the level of Russia in terms of the amount of carbon dioxide that was released. And so it definitely does have an impact. I mean, that is only 1 year, and the emissions from countries are annual, so they're continually compounding each other. But it definitely does have an impact on the global scale in terms.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like his somewhat optimistic outlook, but let's be real. Canada's fire season this year has started off to a pretty wild start, if you will. Pardon the pun, but wildfire season this year has started very violently, and it seems like fire season continues to get worse and worse every year. Maybe I'm just reading into things too much, but it just genuinely feels this way. And the data would seem to show that it is in fact headed in that direction as well. What was I doing? Ah, yes, moving on from Canada's fires. Although it's just a very disturbing frigging, like, I almost don't want to move away from it, right? Because, like, if it's just Canada's fires that equals all of the planes flying in the world annually, and you start thinking about, I don't know, the fires that have been happening in Brazil or in the United States or in other places that we have been seeing, all that adding up starts to really make you worry about how we seem to be getting into some sort of, well, I guess you'd call it a cycle of terrible, right? We keep adding more heat-trapping gases to the environment. Our environment gets worse, and some of these worse things wind up becoming actual emitters of heat-trapping gases themselves. And the volcanoes. Yep, and the volcanoes. Jerry's right. Yeah, we got some stuff happening. Alright, let's just go slightly south. This is from 16 hours ago, where huge clouds of smoke are billowing out from central Oregon as a wildfire there is growing rapidly. Jesus, that smoke cloud is monstrous. And this thing is not yet contained either. At least to my understanding, this was not from that long ago. Okay. Let's go to this one in just slightly further south in the East Bay. NBC Bay Area from 17 hours ago, where a fire is now threatening homes.
Busy night for firefighters in the East Bay as well. NBC's Tom Jensen is with us. He is in Brentwood. Tom, a fire there threatening hundreds of homes. What do we have?
Well, Raj, you know, we hear so much about lives and homes that are lost in fires like this, but tonight people here are praising firefighters for the lives and the homes they saved from this fast-moving brush fire that swept right towards their neighborhood. The Empire Mine Fire started in a semi-rural area near what appears to be an operating oil well along Deer Valley Road between Brentwood and Antioch. Locals say the area is prone to fires, which are often knocked down by aggressive ground attacks.
You know, I've been here before when this whole place was on fire here. There was no air tankers.
The fire spread quickly, and Todd Riley says he called 911 to report it.
All of a sudden, it just, boom, took off.
Winds pushed the flames towards a heavily developed area of Brentwood near Highway 4 and Belfour Road.
It was getting closer.
Sophia couldn't believe what she was seeing, so she recorded everything.
I wasn't scared. I was just really intrigued.
She made sure her family was evacuated and turned the sprinklers on to protect the property. Others were ready to go when firefighters said it was time to evacuate.
We had all of our stuff packed, all of the important stuff, you know, passports, things like that.
Helicopters dropped load after load of water, and CAL FIRE bombers repeatedly dumped retardant in front of the flames as neighbors watched in shock.
It was really, really bad.
Were you worried?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, when it got here, and all the smoke is right there, the planes are just going crazy right here.
Before sundown, everyone was back home cleaning cars and property painted pink with fire retardant. Firefighters fresh off the lines joined them in the effort. Everyone counting their blessings and thanking these firefighters for their work on the ground.
So, one good, I mean, it's hard to call it good, but one good end to a wildfire story here. And it wrapped itself up pretty quickly, but that looks like a situation that could have gotten out of control very fast. Thankfully, the fire department did its job quite well in this regard and saved people and their homes. Okay, now we have been talking about the next situation for some time. I want to say at least like 3 or 4 days, but it has been ongoing for that amount of time, so it is apt. Let's start with this one from CBS Evening News, discussing the floodwaters which have been wreaking havoc across the Midwest. I'm not saying this is going to somehow solve all of our problems related to the environment. I think you all know I'm more skeptical than that. But it's just one of many sorts of things that we need to be doing, and on a broader scale rather than on a micro scale with one place in the Bay Area, right? Okay. Joann Fabric just went out of business. Is that true? Wow. Wow. End of an era. Okay, now on to talk more directly about our environment and some of the things that have been happening with it. Let's look at this one first. This is from the Associated Press from a day ago. Federal officials streamlining wildfire response with complex incident management teams.
We are tracking breaking news on the dangerous wildfires burning near Churchill Falls in Labrador. Officials are now evacuating people still in the town after news broke just last hour that one of the fires has jumped the river. That was serving as part of a fire break to keep the town safe. CBC's Peter Cowan is in St. John's with the latest. So, Peter, what does this development mean here, that this fire has jumped the river?
Yeah, this river has really acted as a natural fire break to protect the town of Churchill Falls from this fire that's 1,500 hectares in size. And unfortunately, Mother Nature was not cooperating today. High temperatures into the high 20s, along with low humidity and some winds that are blowing today from the southwest. And so that's...
I just realized I looked over this video just now. I have no idea how I did that. Well, I know exactly how. I scrolled too far on my list. Sorry, chat, this is not the video which I promised you. This is in fact a video from CBC News from a day ago discussing a fire jumping a literal fucking river. And of course we know that as the winds get higher, embers get carried much further than going across a river. So it's certainly, especially with the winds we've been seeing, something that we should be expecting to see, which is just really concerning, right? The wind was lower in many places. It would be a different problem. Well, it would be a smaller problem. It says Joann Fabrics filed for bankruptcy. The stores will remain open. Wow. I don't have any need to go to Joann Fabrics, but it's just a place that I have memories in, right? I remember my mom taking me to Joann Fabrics. I mean, there's even been times where I, as a man, have decided to go there as an adult by myself to buy things. But yeah. Sorry, let's continue watching this.
the fire, and it actually pushed some of those flames over the river onto the community of Churchill Falls. And because that fire has crossed the river, that's why they are now removing about 100 or so people that were still in the town in order to keep the hydroelectric plant that is there up and running. This is a very important plant, and they just kept sort of a minimal number of people. But now that the fire has crossed the river, they've decided to pull even those essential workers out.
Damn.
And the premier said just about an hour and a half or so ago that, you know, this fire crossing the river is definitely a big concern for him.
Hold on. Where's that photo?
Across the river, they've decided to pull.
Damn, dude. The amount of smoke that comes off of these fires. What the fuck was in that river? Probably water and wildlife would be my guess. Probably just the normal river stuff. Could be wrong, could be wrong. Okay, now let's talk about federal officials. This is in the United States. Discussing wildlife management.
As wildfires grow in size and complexity, changes have been needed in the command structure of wildland firefighting.
The incident commander is overall in charge and responsible for all actions taken on within the incident. I would say the basic level is a Type 5 incident commander, where you're looking at maybe a single burning snag or minimal resources, maybe just one, say, module, like an engine or something like that, where it grows and grows into a Type 3, which is more complex, maybe a more extended attack. And of course, you had your Type 1 and Type 2 teams, which is now CIM, which is more your most complex incidents.
Type 1 and Type 2 incident commands have been changed to complex incident management teams to help alleviate staff shortages.
With the amount of incidents that we deal with, the fires that we deal with, they keep on increasing year to year. The numbers of them, the sizes of them. Basically what they came up with was we're not having enough people to staff those teams. I'll give you an example. I've been a part of incident management teams for over 20 years. And there's been years where we've gone to an incident, I've come home for 2 days, packed up, and left 2 days later for another incident, and did that.
Watching this stuff makes me so concerned sometimes that I think, you know, I might need to quit streaming and just become a firefighter. You don't have enough firefighters, even with the fact we're using prisoners in many states. That's bad. Granted, I'm not in a very fire-prone place when I'm on Earth usually, but just thinking out loud right now. I think it's partly just because it really is just, my God. No, obviously I'm kidding. I'm not gonna quit. Alright, I'm still here. You looked up how much firefighters make in Yakima, Washington, and it's like $50,000. It's not great considering you're, as a firefighter, being literally threatened with death at every turn in these sort of situations. Considering how many fires you're seeing in these most fire-prone areas, for instance, California, seems like almost every day. Some are volunteers. That's true. Some are volunteer firefighters. This is from 21 hours ago. We're going to start it off slow. This is in Hawaii after the, oh God, I can't remember the name of the village now. My brain just broke again. One of the many times it happens per stream. Anyways, if you all recall, there was a absolutely devastating wildfire that happened in Hawaii, which devastated an entire town. However, progress is being made on cleanup. What island? I don't remember.
We're not focused on the speed. We're focused on the safety.
Lahaina,
We're
there it
focused
is.
on making sure we can get people back to their homes in a safe way as quickly as possible, but we have to be focusing on the safety, and I guess that's what I want people to see. Now, if we can do both, I think that's a win-win.
We are ahead of schedule on both, and we anticipate being done.
And I'm pretty sure Lahaina, I could have sworn Lahaina was on like one of the main, like one of the biggest islands. I can't remember. I'm just gonna look it up just because. Maui. Styx Dragon, already said it.
Meaningfully done with residential, commercial in a few months. There's about 1,400 residential properties and 159 commercial properties that are part of our portfolio. We are working very hard to get those cleared.
Well, this is awesome. I mean, I can't say enough. The only sadness I have is that this neighborhood will never be the same. And to hear my neighbors...
Yeah, I think we all kind of expected that place wouldn't be the same afterwards. I mean, there were so many historical buildings. I don't know if everybody remembers this fire, and I don't have like a supplemental video for us set up, but I mean, if you somehow don't remember it, I would just recommend looking at the video. It's pretty devastating to this community, which had been here for a long time.
Moved to mainland, because I think initially everybody thought it was going to be like 5 years, and so now I think talking to some of my neighbors, it's like, oh man, maybe I pulled the trigger too fast. You know, I think they had no idea.
So the permits for what will be the swimming pool, the walls, and the main house were still open. The city never ever closed.
As of 2 months ago, the tree just celebrated its 151st birthday. We're just so glad and blessed that the tree survived the fire. But there will definitely be some scars.
I remember them talking about this tree, because I think this tree's been here for literally like hundreds of years or something like that. But somehow that's just this tiny ray of hope amidst all of the destruction. Although it is good to see that they are making progress on it, but as you can see from the first photos, like the whole place was just gone. Yeah, that was Lahaina, exactly, PB. Wait, there was something else that somebody said in chat. I can't remember. Nomiki Const was on Francesca's show, the Bituation Room. Today is cray. Today is cray. I mean, I feel like every week I'm saying, God, what a crazy week. But holy shit. And I think next week, I just got a weird feeling about next week. Just gonna say it. I feel like things are gonna get even crazier next week. Well, I'm a little excited about it. Because I feel like, once again, we have an opportunity to make some changes right now. And we should really be trying to push that. Okay, let's go to current wildfires. I figured we'd start easy with a already, finished wildfire where things were being rebuilt, but now we're going to start talking about closer to current news, at least. Forgot about this. But I think we should look at this again, because this is also disturbing. This is from the Associated Press from a day ago. According to them, Canada's 2023 wildfire season spewed out more heat trapping gas than all the planes on Earth.
We estimated that the forest fires in Canada released about 2.98 billion tons of carbon dioxide, which is about 4 times as much carbon as global aviation sector, and about 25% higher than the emissions from all primary tropical tree cover loss in 2023. Forest.
That's all we need from this. We already watched this earlier, but that statistic, to me, is very concerning. Okay? Now, fact is aviation isn't that large of percentage of global emissions, but I guess my point is if that's what happened in 2023 in Canada during fire season, right? Just in Canada, And this year, we have fires burning in Canada, California, Colorado, Texas, Brazil. I mean, plenty of, just so many places that the list is so long. I feel like doing it would take up too much time. But the point is that you start adding all that kind of stuff up, and you get the picture, right? And the fact is, this is part of the sort of system, if you will, like the cyclical nature of the system that we live in on Earth, where we are kind of feeding into this. The Earth is then responding by doing things it doesn't normally do, which is also adding to the problem, right? Which is why we need to so drastically change things so in a short period of time right now. Otherwise, we're going to continue to see these sorts of statistics that are ever more troubling. All right, now let's start talking about current shit. This is in California. Because it's weekend report here, I figured we would look at this story. This is from a few days ago, giving us updates on the California wildfires that have been happening. There's at least like a half a dozen of them that we talked about in the last week.
This is a special edition of ABC 10 News, and we start tonight with breaking news. Good evening, I'm Chris Thomas.
I'm Laura Painter. A scary situation of fires growing quickly in Butte County, forcing evacuations tonight. Take a look. Massive, thick plumes of smoke rising through the air. This is a time-lapse video of the fire called the Apache Fire. It's in the Palermo area, just south of Oroville, off Apache Hill Road. The fire started just before 7:30 tonight.
Now, Butte County deputies have announced several evacuations, and the list is growing, so take a look. People in these zones are being told to either leave now or please prepare to leave. This impacts people around Upper Palermo Road to Van Zant Lane, Lois Lane, the Nob Hill Avenue area, at Butte Vista Road areas, Ruth.
We're giving birthday parties to trees now. We're absolutely giving birth. Have you not been to the stream before? We give all sorts of. I mean, we give chatters birthday parties. I had a birthday party. And I don't see why we shouldn't give trees that survived massive wildfires birthdays. I'm not going to stop there either.
Area is also under evacuation orders as we speak. ABC 10's Lou Clary just got to the fire. He's getting to a safe area, and we will take you there live as soon as he's ready to go. Meanwhile, I do want to show you this. We're just getting this image in from Sacramento Metro Fire. Look at that massive fire burning on Excelsior Road near Jackson Highway. Now, we're told the road is closed from Woodring Drive.
Hold on. I'm just gonna... When was my birthday? Well, we celebrated my birth sign. So when Gemini started on May 22nd, I guess that is. Is it the 22nd? I think it is. Whatever day that was. We celebrated my star sign. As it's galactic. It's more galactic to do that. I don't expect all of you to go by those sorts of rigid restrictions, but me personally. Okay, actually, let's move on. But the fact is there are still burning fires in California, even if we're not talking about them today. There has been progress on a number of them, but the amount of acreage burned was over, I believe, over 50,000 acres. Intergalactic. Okay, now let's go on to talking about at least one of these fires. This is from yesterday, NBC Bay Area. This is in the South Bay, where fires are forcing evacuations.
All right, let's get back to our breaking news now that we've been following in the South Bay. Evacuations are underway in San Martin as crews battle a 5-acre fire. We mentioned homes are threatened. Let's bring in NBC's Jocelyn Moran, who joins us from the scene with the very latest. Jocelyn.
Yeah, Raj, right now we are along Columbus Avenue. This is a street that has several homes. Several have been evacuated. We're not getting an exact number right now, but we did speak with a public information officer. She was telling us that sheriff deputies are evacuating homes as needed. You can still see that it is still very smoky here. You have several agencies in the area, including CAL FIRE, Gilroy Fire, San Jose Fire. There are about 100 firefighters, we're being told, really attacking the fire. The cause still under investigation, but I will tell you the public information officer was telling us the wind has been a factor that firefighters are battling against as well. I want to show you too as well. This is along Columbus Avenue here. You can see just how you can see the smoke in the area, how many homes are in this area. We spoke with one family who was scrambling to get their family in the car. They left all of their belongings. They're trying to watch from a distance, but this area is also blocked off here. The good news is that the fire is 30% contained at this moment. They are making good progress. We are being told you have firefighters on the ground.
30% contained isn't great news, not gonna lie. Especially with the wind. With the wind, 30% contained is basically just not contained. At any second, with wind like that, it'll just spread. I don't have more updates on this. Hopefully that means that it was in fact contained. But yeah. So 70% not contained. Yes, Bad Lefty, that's right. Trump would be blaming the windmills for fires. I'm sure it was the windmills. That's probably what it is.
I did everything right and they indicted me.
Let's go to this one instead. As wildfire has broken out in Arizona and is now causing evacuations near Phoenix. Phoenix shouldn't be a city. It's honestly kind of true. It's kind of true. At least in terms of, access to water. If I'm not mistaken, they have to have their water pumped in from a great distance away. I could be wrong about exactly the distance. Although it didn't say an exact distance. God. So yeah. Fires in Arizona. Just look at one more video of this. This is from 8 hours ago.
Homes were evacuated Thursday night as a large bushfire spread to 3,200 acres in Arizona near the Boulder Heights community. Eyewitness video shot in Maricopa County shows firefighting aircrafts and large plumes of smoke. The so-called Boulder View fire was fueled by high winds and dry conditions, and authorities believe it may have been caused by people. On Friday, fire officials said it was 0% contained.
0%. That's not good. Drone video shot in Maricopa County, Arizona showed burnt fields and smoke was still rising from hotspots after a wildfire prompted evacuations. The so-called Boulder wildfire, which was fueled by high winds and dry conditions, has consumed 3,200 acres near Sedona. Pause.
Fire burning in Pueblo County just...
That's not pausing. All right, fine. We'll just go straight to this. We're already on it. This is in Colorado. We actually looked at this yesterday, but I figured we would just remind ourselves of what's happening. Basically, like one state away.
It's getting bigger. Officials say that fires burn more than 1,100 acres now. Still no containment. And it's burning about 3 miles northwest of Beulah. Hundreds of firefighters and crews are out working it. Right. Officials say firefighters are planning to burn out some areas between the planned containment lines and the fire's edge. They're hoping to reduce the risk to the town of Beulah. Evacuations are still in place for homes along Middle Creek Canyon Road.
Not saying that's the only solution. It's just one in a piece puzzle. All right, now let's talk about methane emissions by way of garbage. This is from 4 hours ago from the Associated Press, where extreme heat in India is making garbage pickers miserable and a dangerous job worse. Whoopsies. There we go.
बोरी पकड़ते हैं इतना गर्मी है बोरी पकड़ते हैं हाथ पाके लगता है वो होता है कि बोरी पकड़ा न जाता है
When I unload the garbage, I feel dizzy. My hands shake. I take lemon water with me to work, and I drink it to cool myself and then resume working. If I had an alternative job that could get me work from indoors or under shade, that would have been good, but I have no job. I have to do this work out of compulsion. I'm not even able to climb the mountain of garbage in one go. I have to stop thrice while going there. I take 6 liters of water with me. Good
Many
God,
times what happens in these solid waste landfills, because of the heat, the waste starts burning and it releases methane gas, which is very toxic. There are vehicles roaming around in the field, solid waste trucks which are there, and then the environmental heat, and this work cannot be done during night time, so they have to do this during the daytime when anyway the heat is very high.
This is
गर्मी की वजह से कुछ लोग तो काम ही नहीं कर रहे।
Because of heat, a lot of people
कुछ
have
लोग
not been
मजबूरी
working
में जा रहे हैं क्योंकि बच्चों
on
की
the
भूख
garbage
प्यास
dump for
कब
the
तक
past
वो
few days.
बर्दाश्त
Some
करेंगे
people
या
are going
अपनों
to
को
work
भी
because
भूख
they
लगती है वो
can't
भी
see
कब
their
तक
children
बर्दाश्त
go
करेंगे।
hungry.
तो इसलिए उनको जाना पड़ता है और कुछ लोग हैं
Some
भूख
people who
प्यास
eat
को जो
twice a
2
day
टाइम
now eat
खाते वो
once a
1
day
टाइम
to
खाएंगे,
manage.
लेकिन जितना
Spend more
कमाएंगे
on
ना उतना
doctors
डॉक्टरों
than
में
they do
चला
on their
जाता है।
God.
So they are among one of the most, highly vulnerable groups and highly exposed groups to the heat and also to the air pollution with limited
Gotta calm your doggo. Oh, fireworks are going off. Yeah, well, it's about like a week away. The weekend going into July 4th week, if you will. When is July 4th? Wait, 1, 2. It's like Thursday, isn't it? Whoopsies. Just clicked the wrong thing again. All right, now let's talk about garbage and how we deal with it globally in a more detailed way. This is DW Planet A. From 1 day ago, we need to fix landfills. Here's how. Oh, tell us. Tell us, Germany. What you got for us?